One. All right, we're in spoiler territory.
Hey, those
Alejandro, you're completely. You hit it on the head. Like I wasn't getting too into it.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a movie to, like, if you knew nothing of the MCU.
Why are you watching this?
Yeah.
Like, no, I can. Like, my thing is, even if you did, if you've never watched or read a comic, and never watched one of these movies, it's like just. Bleh.
Yeah.
Anything beyond that, I feel like each one. Now you can argue. Let's just start from the beginning. So, how did y'all feel about the first act, which is what we'll call the first act, the aftermath?
Before the time space heist. The time.
Yeah, the aftermath.
Okay.
So, kind of
the
after the snap and the world.
I
think that's my favorite part of the movie.
I loved it.
Yes.
It was literally the salty rum back. Straight up, I've never seen a salty rum back be so goddamn flaccid in a movie before, and I love it so fucking much. They're like, nope, run it back. You're with me now. We're doing it. So, context: Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, shows up to save Tony and Nebula in space. There's I gotta do this one at a time because there's so much to unpack.
There's so much.
So let me ask you. Let me ask the real question, and we'll come back to this question.
Okay.
Did you think he was actually dying at the beginning of the movie?
Yes.
Yes.
I think they sold that so.
I don't know if it was CG or he lost weight, but he was so skinny.
And like that,
his cheeks were sunken in when he got back to Earth. Like he looked so bad.
That very last scene where she puts him in the chair.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wait, we're actually. Oh, they're actually not pulling punches.
And his acting for it was too when he was having the argument with Captain America and he was like struggling to stand up. You felt that shit.
Okay, so they made us made us believe because they were out there for about a month because they said it's about 23 days after the snap at the beginning of the movie. So they made us believe that Nebula and Tony got along because there was a little scene where they're playing paper football and he was teaching her how to play. And he's like, okay, now you have a chance to come back, and she wins, and he's like, congratulations, you won, fair game. And she has never fucking won anything in her goddamn life. And it was like a huge moment. Like she's literally fought her sister, and her whole story is the fact that she kept losing to her sister and she kept getting like cybernetic enhancements, and she fucking wins. Like to turn her around is a fucking paper football game. And she's like, it was fine. But she loved like it. I was like, that hit me hard. It was a fucking paper football game, and it hit me harder than it should have.
So here,
like
you're bringing this up. You're bringing this up, and this is why I think this is why the first act and the final act are my favorite acts of this entire movie.
Great.
This first act specifically, this is the humanizing act. This is what most human we've seen all of these characters.
I think you need this first act. Exactly what you're saying.
Yes.
The human element, because
it's crazy.
So the reality of it, and they had an interview where they talked about it, but
yes,
the last movie ended with the snap. You have to actually show.
You have to acknowledge
what a world is like, where
the effects this mentally has on.
There's nothing worse. I've seen it in video games, manga, anime, or other movies, other properties. It doesn't have to be exclusively Japanese or whatever Western. I've seen it where something big happens, especially Strix knows this as well. I think Alejandro knows some of this, in comics especially. There's a huge event that happens in a comic book, and the next issue, nothing will matter.
It's like, we got to save the world, and it's like, no.
They just dropped it, or it got canceled. And it sucks because whenever it gets canceled, something gets moved over, whatever. But it's so unbelievably frustrating. Where it's like you had this big thing that people wanted to see, and there's no like wave, there's no like ripple effect. There's nothing that gets changed, and it's so frustrating.
Go
ahead. That's the big thing. I feel like so. We see the first act. They get Tony and Nebula, and they're like, we know where Thanos is, and then they go ahead and Thor kills Thanos, and then it's like all these things happens, and it's like if we would have seen like a month or 2 months or 3 months or 5 months after the snap, I feel like that would have been too little time. I feel like there's not a lot of there's too little times to really see this, the effects.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, I think part of it is still like that. It's sold so well because at this point the MCU is so big. Like you have each one of the characters. Like essentially, the first act of the movie is everything Tony saw in Age of Ultron, essentially being true.
Yep.
Like, which is why when he gets back to Earth and he's like, no, we fucking lost. There is nothing.
That was the biggest I told you, and literally Captain America had nothing for him. He's like, I fucking told you this was gonna happen. You said we'd lose together, and we weren't fucking. That line hurt me so bad, Doc.
And
you said we would lose together, and you weren't fucking there when we lost.
And
like, holy shit.
Even beyond, like, because, and it's the perfect foil though, because even after all that, like, you still see the Captain America, but we got him this time. We got it. We're not dead yet. We can, and then everybody's like in this middle area, and again, like, it's almost like that continuation of Civil War. Like, the two of them are butting heads because fundamentally, like, Captain America's like, but we're not dead yet, and Tony's like, the fuck do you mean we're not dead yet? What do we have? What can we do?
Yeah. And going
we
on
lost
from that,
half the universe because we couldn't fucking work like, that's all it came down to. If we worked together, we had a way better chance of winning, but we were so scattered. I didn't know where you were at. Literally, Infinity War established he has like no idea where he has his phone number, but that's it. Like, it literally came down to them being able to work together, and it just, half the universe died because they couldn't do it.
And bringing up Captain America, I think one of the strongest scenes is they're going to see Thanos, and they're going to kill him in that first act. Before I love this. I love all this because like the Avengers titles comes in, but it's like very more somber. But like, so they're going to see Thanos, and I think Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow, is talking to him, and it's like, so what are your thoughts on this? And he's like, what are you gonna do? What if this doesn't work out? And Captain America's just like, this better work. Because if this doesn't work, I literally don't know what I'm going to do.
It's that idea of doing everything, and like when you're at the you're at the end. Like, he doesn't sugarcoat it, but he's there. Then you have like post-traumatic stress disorder Thor, who is still mad that he didn't cut off his fucking head.
Yep.
He's like, where the fuck is he? Where the fuck is he?
I love how they characterize Captain America in the movies way more than the comics. I mean, the comics have followed now, but it's like, it's because, like you said, it's not like Captain America isn't unrealistic in his goals or like how he feels about a situation, right? Because he's still very optimistic, but at the same time, Tony calls him out. He's like, you can't accept the fucking fact that we lost. You can't accept that this is the result. He always said things like, oh, we'll lose together or we'll win, whatever. And it's like, none of it matters. Like, Tony's like, I shouldn't have fucking listened to you. I don't care about people's freedoms. I knew this was coming, and I listened to you, and look what fucking happened.
That moment,
and Cap is like, that wasn't right. He's like, who cares if I was right? We lost. Like,
and I think the moment that hits hardest for Cap though is when after Tony said all this, he's looking at him, and he's like, you know what? And just takes his own fucking heart out.
He's like,
fuck you.
Armor. He's like, you don't need it. He's like, you don't need it.
And my man just gets up and done.
Think about it. Iron Man literally prepared his armor to fight against Thanos for like 6 years. He says it in Infinity War, and he got fucking bodied. He's like, you fucking take it. I don't care anymore. Why do I care? No one listens to me.
Can I just say?
And now I want to say, I think that's also like the importance of that is that. Yeah, Captain America and them lost on Earth.
Yeah.
Where they were to get. Tony had Nebula. Like, because, like, he comes back and he's like, yo, like, the kid's gone.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you see, you for once, but, like, especially the whole thing with Peter. Like, you can visibly see that, like, even if everybody else had died, like, it might have fucked him up, but that was one of those things where he's like
I lost
Tony was literally going through the shoulda, coulda, woulda regrets, right? It was, I should have made Thanos armor. I should have kept, even after Ultron, I should have kept Iron Man armors around the Earth. I should have gave everyone armor. I should have done everything. I shouldn't have cared about the fucking, like, it's crazy because once Thanos got to Earth, they had no chance of winning anyway because he had every stone but the Soul Stone from Vision. So like, it wasn't even a fight. Like,
I want to bring up two things. First off, that first stack, Robert Downey Jr., he deserves an Oscar for his acting there.
100%.
I think that is some of the strongest piece of acting I've seen out of not only Robert Downey Jr., but just this year in general.
I mean,
that was really strong.
The pettiness he was holding back for 6 years finally came out.
But I don't
really hard.
I still think that this goes back to like us talking about this being a fan's film. Like that's because like he is 11 years. Like everybody else, we as much as we love him, like we started with Iron Man 1 and we've slowly seen him like it's the arc of Tony Stark, where Tony becomes like I'm Iron Man, I can do anything, I'm cocky. Yep. I lose a couple times, I really get my ass beaten, but eventually we come back and win and I start trusting people.
Maximum humbleness. I give scholarships to people. I try to I literally reimburse and help families that have been affected by my weapons specifically. Like
it's literally the difference between the difference between Doctor Strange in the last movie and Tony Stark in the last. Like Doctor Strange is where Tony was before at the start of that movie, where he's like, "Fuck you, the time stone's mine. Fuck no, no, I will leave you to die. This is more important."
Yeah, no. The objective based. It doesn't matter the morality. Objective based. And what I love about Tony in this, it's not even just necessarily because his performance is amazing, but it's because we've been with him so long, we understand his frustration. He was trying to do the right thing, but things didn't work out. With Civil War, we had legislation because whatever he registered, and he couldn't do what he wanted. He couldn't put the Iron Man armors around the world because of fucking Ultron. He was trying to do the right thing. It's like if all this thing, he in his mind, being the futurist, the genius that he is, he's like, if everything fucking just went my way, this wouldn't have happened. At least not like this. We could have had a fucking chance. I would have Iron Man armors all around the world. Heroes would have been registered, so people wouldn't be afraid to help us out. We probably could have had more Spider-Mans. We could have had more people helping us out to like do something, anything, if people listen to me. But now people don't want to listen to me. Like it's so frustrating because I think it's so gratifying when we know the character's frustrations. Yeah. You know what I mean? Even though Cap has a legitimate reason to think the way he does, because it's like, our freedom and stuff, we feel that way. But it's like, dude, looking at it now, it's like, dog, you got dicked.
And that's the thing is like, you were saying something, Alejandro. I don't want you to forget your thought.
I still have it.
Go ahead, so you don't forget.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is very much moving on. So you go.
Okay.
I was just like, to me, it also brought up the idea that like, Civil War didn't settle.
No.
Like in no way. Like it just so happened that they had to come together. Like this was not okay, we've worked everything out. This was like, hey, like there's another event coming.
That's the crazy thing. No, this is the crazy thing. This movie calls back to things from all the way back to those first few movies.
Stuff that people didn't even watch.
Yeah. That's like, to me, that's what I love about this. Like, I can think back to when Iron Man came out. You see the after credit scene, and everybody's kind of hanging out, and that's a kind of cool little after credit scene or whatever. But then, like, because in that after credit scene, for those that don't remember,
which was kind of a secret, by the way, because people didn't stay for after credits back then. That was the first Iron Man, so people would
Marvel is the one that designed the stay for the after credits.
So if somebody was wondering what we mean by cultural relevance. And like of this is Marvel basically putting a stamp on saying we have changed how cinema works in the last decade
on a fundamental level.
Like continuing universe movie to movie, after credit scene where people will watch the credits because they believe something's there. Understanding that there's a greater plot than even 3 movies.
It's so genius because I think Kevin Feige, they designed it because they're like, now you can sit through other people that make this stuff and ignore. Because I've especially after like Endgame, I was looking at the credits. I'm like, God damn, there's a lot of people.
There's a lot.
There's a people that were like, yo, can this I just want to see the fucking credit. I'm like,
I know,
dog,
I know.
You don't get like,
but it's crazy because
is.
The only reason I think I stayed in the after credits back then was I think we were trying to like eat our popcorn or drink something and just talking to other people and it popped up and we're like, what? There's more? And then Tony, the famous scene, Tony Stark is getting a drink at like night and he's like, what the fuck are you doing in my house? And it's like, it's fucking Samuel L. motherfucking Jackson as Nick Fury. I was like,
that's
shit.
What the best thing was like, okay, there's a black dude in his house, and then you see the like it's one of those things as a comic fan. That's when we started preparing for that.
There's
moment.
only one
and
person.
All he said was like, "Hey, I'm trying to make a team," And like in the back of your mind, you're like, okay, that could kind of mean a lot of things, but okay. Like I was getting hype at that point, and then the Incredible Hulk comes out, and that's when the after credit scene. For those who don't remember, they're at the bar, General Ross and Tony, and he drops something on the table. He says, "What do you know about the Avengers Initiative?" And at that point, like
same thing with Captain America when he's at the gym boxing, and Nick Fury comes up and he's like, you know, it's kind of hard to get used to the, you know, whatchamacallit, but there's still fights that we need you to fight. It's like, and he gives him like a folder. It's like, dude.
And it's all building up to that first Avengers reveal, right? And everybody's like, because I still remember this question, because that was the question that was there with Infinity War and Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
How do you really top that moment with the first Avengers?
I also think it's kind of funny how fast humans can learn when they're passionate about something. We only had to have one credit scene after Iron Man for people to start immediately understanding to stay after the end credits. Because that was a huge deal. I remember reading because YouTube was still young. This was 11 years ago. This was 2008. So I remember watching early YouTube and online just articles and stuff where people like, there's an after credit scene. Because I got lucky enough to see it, but I saw people be like, what? After credits? They're like, how does that even work? And after that, immediately people just kept staying for Iron Man 2, Incredible Hulk, Captain America.
And they mixed it up. Some were jokes and some were a lot bigger, but it was enough to where like it was never just like, oh, this is a bullshit scene. It was kind of like.
But then there's now, and then they improved on it. They're like because Marvel realized because more people, especially with CGI heavy movies like Iron Man, where more people were working at like visual effects artists and stuff, and different companies. Not only was there an after credits, there was a mid credits, like
mid credit roll,
and just like a minute something stupid, and then that was like the little thing for the movie, and then the after credits was like the thing that was like Easter egg for the next.
And I just like keep in mind to those in chat that don't get why we're also like while we're.
It's crazy. In
we see the ending of this arc. Mm-hmm. If you want to ignore everything else and say, okay, this saga. Mm-hmm. When you really understood who was playing the game is at the end in 2012 when all you see is guess I'm gonna have to do it, and you see that smile, and that's when the people that knew like
immediately
like it was like 7 years ago. It's the idea is like, oh wait, what? Wait, the only reason, but if you bring in him, then you're also probably bringing.
Dude,
how? And since then, it became this cultural thing of, like, the numbers for this movie. It broke 1 billion easy
in the opening weekend.
It's gonna be 2 billion by the end of this week,
and that should say something. Like, it didn't just beat Avatar. Like, joking. I'm gonna do another callback, and we'll come back to this. Captain America, when they run in through the Avengers came by like, yo, on your left. On your left, dog.
Let's go!
And like all you see is like fucking like Avatar looking at like, wait, no, and Avengers is gone. Like no coming back.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
I think this movie literally broke out all the records that it can possibly break now.
Yeah.
Like
It's unbelievable because I think it was funny because DC notoriously, which people were like, you're being stupid. It's not even like a pride thing. It was just being stupid where they're like, we're not going to do after credit scene. And people are like, why? And I remember, I don't think Superman Day did it, but like for Batman v Superman Day did. And they're like how hard I know it's hard because it's not like there weren't movies before Marvel that didn't have after credit scene. Was it Ferris Bueller's Day Off or whatever? It was one of the things. Even Deadpool referenced it, right? Where it's like, and it's like this, that. But I understand from a competitor standpoint, it's very hard to associate with Marvel. But it's like movies from now on are gonna have after credit scene for things that they want to sequel bait with. I bet you that's probably the best. We talk about how annoying it is, how an ending of a movie sequel baits, especially when they don't earn it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do something like have a because Iron Man never sequel baited. It was its own movie, and then at the end for like 30 seconds, it's like there might be more, and that was it. And it didn't feel feel bad. It wasn't part of the actual movie, so it didn't feel bad. You know?
Strix, what? I am Iron Man.
Like, no, all right, so I want to progress this because when we get through, like, there's so many little things in this movie.
There's so much in this movie.
I want people to understand, not just like, Like, if we're putting Endgame as the pillar, Marvel literally said, all right, cool. How can we go back the last 11 years? And because we're starting a new phase, how many things can we hint at to make people fucking lose their goddamn mind?
Can I do that real quick then? Because it's still in the early part. So when they context once again, I'm sure people have watched this, but maybe people are watching or listening that don't or can't watch the movie because tickets are sold out for a little bit. And they're like, fuck it, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, the only reason why they find Thanos is because they find the same energy signature from when the original snap happened, and that's because they found out that he snapped the gems away because he wanted to make it permanent. Thor kills him immediately within literally like the first 15 minutes of the movie, and it says 5 years later, which is a bigger jump than people thought. And I want to get to here really quick. I'm kind of jumping a little bit, but it's Scarlett Johansson, aka Black Widow, has her red hair coming back, and she's talking to Captain Marvel, Rhodey, all these people, Okoye, and and then one of the references I'm talking about is Okoye being like, well, there was a tremor in the middle of the ocean. She's like, what can we do about that? She's like,
it's a fucking earthquake. Like, what the fuck we're doing?
But people like Rob, I don't know if Rob said it, but other people online are like, yo, is that Namor?
But it's not just that. Chaz, I'm gonna take you back. Captain America, Winter Soldier. There's a reference to whales showing up in the harbor, and all of a sudden, like, the more you look at this stuff, it's like,
dude,
because. And for those that don't get where we're also going, the fact that it matters that it's Okoye is because one of Black Panther's, like, in recent history, one of his rivals has been Namor. Or what was the other one? On another one, when you look and you talk to when they're talking about S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff, and Samuel L. Jackson is talking about points of interest, one of them is on the center of the Atlantic Ocean.
Yes.
And everybody's sitting up here like, oh,
why?
Right? Like, also, like, Atlantis. No, but this is what I'm saying, where, for me, once I finished watching Endgame, it just became me reading articles online, because there's so much stuff in this movie. Like, you could go and probably find reference to Easter egg to Easter egg.
So much. And the reason why that earthquake matters is because in a story where Namor got part of the Phoenix Force, I believe, he literally drowned Wakanda. He literally flooded Wakanda.
Oh, you're right.
And so people are like, oh shit, like, that has to, because there's so many callbacks to comics in this movie, more so than any other movie in general. Just like the actual events, not just characters or places, like the actual what happens. Like, I'm like, you don't just write a line that there's an earthquake underwater and we don't deal with it. From a person who's in Wakanda, it could have been Rhodey, and then I'd be like, oh, maybe that could be Namor, but it's not as strong. But Okoye saying that there's an earthquake means way more.
And,
like,
I could say to people all the time, like, for those, like, there's reading articles and reading what they have to say, you realize how much stuff was taken out. Living Tribunal was almost in this movie, but they
Adam
decided
Warlock is gone. Yeah,
Adam Warlock is still technically in the MCU, but he's not in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, and I, like, when people are asking all these questions, I'm like, no, like, Kevin Feige, I think it's
Feige, yes,
has literally set it up to, like, hey, we can pick and choose how much we want to bring in, how much we want to play with this idea, and
I think, sorry to cut you, I'm just so excited. It's just, for me, I think they purposely didn't put Adam Warlock or the Living Tribunals because they don't want to follow the comics anymore. They're so confident that they know that they could. They're Marvel's biggest strength, even though they're going to get X-Men and Fantastic Four now with Fox merger, is that their biggest strength is being able to tell stories based loosely on the comics, but wholly their own and uniquely their own.
Yes,
so, that's what I think they're going to bring them in. But just like they didn't, oh, I'm in love with Mistress Death.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to find a way that makes more sense for the cinematic universe to where, like, okay, this is why.
Well, literally, even Thanos says it, it's like, or one of his things is like, to fight the Avengers is to court death. And it's like, that was a reference. But obviously, having a big purple spaceman with a nutsack as a chin be in love with a skeleton woman with big old titties, and the only reason why you killed half the universe was to try to get your dick wet, might not be as impressive as my home planet died because we literally ran out of resources and nobody fucking listened to me. Tony Stark, I think you can kind of understand where I'm coming from. And Tony's like, yeah, but that's fucked up. It's like, well, I'm a man of action. Right. And it's like, that makes way more sense. I mean, I know that I joke, but that makes way more sense for how
oh, no, I agree. Like, I didn't like it, but I did admit, like, hey, it sounds like it makes more
sense than I killed half the universe to get my dick wet.
Like, what like okay.
I love that story, but still, you know.
So we'll come back to these because Easter eggs. I feel like
Yes,
we'll try to point them out. Like people are pointing
yes,
them out in chat. Carl Danvers saying good luck to Rhodey because they were romantically involved in the comics. Like there's interactions that are like you might not think anything of it, but then you go look at all these different things and you're kind of like this is
they know.
Just
they know.
Okay,
It's
first thing
they know.
First thing as well, we finally get an answer to one of the only cold opens in Marvel, probably one of the horrible ones. Going back to the beginning, at least if we're still in there, is Hawkeye's family, and the first thing you see is his family, but you also see his house arrest ankle bracelet because he's been government sanctioned to stay at his home because he's not part of the Avengers or whatever, right? And I'm like, that's such a subtle thing that people didn't even forgot about, right? Because he's under house arrest.
I want to if we're talking about that scene specifically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that is more impactful than Infinity War. Like when Infinity War, you see the snap, like it sucks because it's almost like you lost. No, you lost. This was more like what we're talking about, the human part of the story.
Yeah.
Where we see a guy that was like, look, no, I can't help you. My family needs me, and now he's hit with the reality of like,
no. It's. I think the big thing is like it's Infinity War, and it's like, oh, what the fuck is going on? All these people, but they know it's like to some extent this is Thanos. We begin Endgame, and he's like, just with his family and us, not knowing anything.
So
that's going on.
Another comic reference with his daughter, which I hope that comes true. Is his daughter?
I almost cried at that
being
scene.
the new Hawkeye, in the comics as well, which is apparently a really good run, that I gotta read. But yeah, she's also, and it's like another good reference. But for me, the reason why that had so much weight, aside from the fact that it's like he went to go to protect his family and be with his family, and that's what he lost. But it's we already saw what happened with the snap in the other movie, but now we get to see it from the perspective of people who have no fucking idea. Like we saw at the end of Infinity War with Maria Hill and Nick Fury, right? To whatchamacallit? See as it happened without them understanding what was going on, right? And it's like the world was freaking out. It's like, why did my friend, my lover, my family, my coworker literally just fucking disappear? And we gotta imagine, right? We saw it happen that's what I appreciate. We also saw with Nick Fury and Maria Hill, where we saw a helicopter crash. Thanos might have killed half the universe, but there are people who are on helicopters, who are on planes, who are on cruise ships, who are on taxis, who are on trains.
Also, you gotta know, half of living things.
Yes, I saw the video as well. Yes,
you gotta consider the crops and the animals.
I saw that video as well. They were like, you should have said sentient life, but it wouldn't have had the gravitas of just life. But that's kind of the idea, is that you can both grow in proportion to each other, I guess. But yes,
it's
that cold open where he has no idea that they're fighting Thanos, where he has no idea that this is even a threat, and he just literally turns away from her for a second, turns around, dust. We see the dust, but he doesn't look at that. He probably thought it was just leaves in the wind. Right?
It's really funny.
You don't think your family just turned to fucking dust.
And that's the perfect thing about the scene is, like, you knew it was coming. Like, you're like, all right, when are they gonna do it? When are they gonna do it? And then his wife is like, hey, come get dinner, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And
you're like, at this point,
it's a strong scene.
Of course, they made it like the Superman family ranch, where you got the farmhouse, big beautiful farmhouse, big beautiful acres of land. They had a picnic fucking table eating hot dogs.
To me, there's an emphasis there though that's specific about Hawkeye and why it's so bad for him.
Yeah.
Because Thanos always said, "I'm indiscriminate."
Yeah.
I'm not picking who lives and dies.
Yes.
So in his case, you can argue like the 50%, he lost everything in that 50%. Like for him, it wasn't like, hey, we lost one of our 3 kids. I lost my wife.
Well, there was a video talking about it. One family, none of your family members if you're in a family of 4, none of your families might die, but the next family, all their family dies, except for one. And that's what happened to Hawkeye.
statistically like people will be like, oh, so like if two people are standing there, like one of the two will die. No, they both have a 50. Like either both survive, they both die.
The best way is literally
50%.
flip a coin.
Yeah,
There is a family where you flip a coin and all 4 family members
comes
live,
up heads.
There's one where all of them dies.
Tails. Yeah, and so.
Yeah.
Like it's just that I forget how you talk about it in statistics, but it's this idea of like they're independent cases for each one,
It's
and
not
so
50%,
the idea is that
it's not 50% as a family. It's 50% for each person.
yes,
It's 50. People are like, oh, it's only 50%. That's not bad, but that's not how statistics works. It's like Strix said, it's for each instance. It's 50%.
yeah. So you have to
That's
take
how that
into
works.
account, like, yeah, there is in like Hawkeye's case, his entire like in a singular moment, he was the only person to get heads on the coin flip.
Which the characters later on acknowledged, Pepper and Tony. They're like, we got really lucky with the odds.
Yeah,
We got lucky.
They got
But most
really,
people didn't.
Yeah.
They're like, most people didn't. Most people,
And-
at least by statistics, lost minimum one person.
and now we got one more.
Usually.
We got another example of this, but it's the flip side of that, and this will kind of
Yeah.
help us segue forward. When we get to that 5-year mark, and
Yeah.
shout out to the homie Rat.
Yo, people were saying they wish it was a mouse because it would have been Mickey Mouse saving the MCU, bro.
No. You know what's the funny thing? There was an interview, and the rat is part of that 1 in 4 billion that actually, if
Yeah.
that rat wasn't there,
Yeah.
there's a timeline
Okay,
where
okay,
the rat wasn't there.
Remember, he
Yeah.
said there's one
Yeah.
where they win.
Yeah, so it's a lot of reviewers. I think it's because maybe people are too afraid to say necessarily it was a bad thing, but most people have come to accept that this movie is full of conveniences because it has to.
Yeah.
Because it has to.
It's
It's
this
not
is-
lazy
okay,
writing because they
so,
thought about it, but
Chat, I'm gonna
it's
say-
convenient.
Like, there are certain things that the harder you think about it,
You can't.
the less it's gonna make sense.
Stop. Yes, the only reason why the rest of the movie works is because a fucking rat saved the entire MCU.
like,
But just, I've already accepted this fact.
but like, and
He's the
that's
homie.
my issue. Is like, I still feel like they told you that. Like,
Yes, they did.
it's the idea of somebody says to you like, hey, there's 1 in 3 odd million chances that, like, you win this. That is the time where you, like, if we're going back to coin flips, where
Yeah.
you flip 100 coins and all 100 land heads.
Can we also say that Doctor Strange literally, I'm glad he didn't, because we just assumed that he was looking for a universe or something or a way for them to win within the instance of Infinity War. He looked 5 years into the future for all 14 million minimum.
yeah.
Like, so
possibilities,
he had to
right?
start there, and he's like, okay, cool. It's like literally a scientific experiment. We are on the planet waiting for Thanos to show up. It is like right now, 10:42 p.m. EST. We are sitting here. Now he has to follow that track all the way to a point where Thanos, like, where there is no chance to come back, or where Thanos loses.
Yeah. But that's what I mean, though. I assumed, and I think a lot of people assumed with Infinity War, he just looked for the next hour, 2 hours, maybe a week to like, can we like regroup, do this to fight Thanos? He had to look again, minimum 5 years into the future for all the possibilities to be like, because if he let's say he even looked only like 4 years, he would have never saw the rat. He would have never saw how everything would play. It wouldn't have worked.
All he just has to, like, because even there, like, he, again, going back to the rat, he has to see the timeline where not just the rat doesn't exist, but the rat doesn't hit the button. The rat isn't in the truck.
He also has to look into a future, which again, the only survivors of the snap originally were the original Avengers and plus a little bit because it's their story. But he had to look into the future and be like, "This is literally the best squad that I can come up with to do this. They have the best repertoire. They have the best minds. They have the best."
By the way, also him saying that to Iron Man has to exist because Iron Man has to say it to Hulk, so that when we get to the point in the movie where Hulk says it to the Ancient One, the Ancient One gets this look on her face like,
there's so many good things.
Shit.
We didn't even. I know I didn't even think about, because we're like, yeah, that building still existed during the battle. So the fact they just showed her just still fighting, I'm like, yeah, of course she would. And the fact that she acknowledged like, oh, you're 5 years a little too early. Doctor Strange is still an actual doctor saving people's lives right now because of the attack. Like he's doing like emergency surgeries. Like, and I'm like, holy shit.
going real quick back to the rat thing.
Yeah.
I just want to say one thing. This movie is beyond easy when it comes to you can nitpick the fuck out of this movie.
Of course.
This is the easiest movie in the MCU where it's like if you watch this, you can nitpick every single.
I love though that they poke fun at it at the same time. Like
Exactly,
the entire time,
exactly.
they're like literally. So the second, we've already moved into it. The second act of the movie is essentially getting the team back together for a time heist. Is how they describe it.
I want to say one thing though before we get to time heist. When Ant-Man comes back and he he doesn't understand what's going on because for him it's been 5 hours, and he asks the kid, yo, what happened? And the kid looks at him like, that's not a good joke. It's like you don't make fun of 9/11 when it happened. It was like that. That's the feeling I got where the kid was hurt. Like, I lost my fucking mom. I know you're not fucking asking me what happened, you fucking idiot. You know, like, you know what I mean?
But that's what eventually brought me here was that he got the opposite of Hawkeye, because he went and he like, you're running through a fucking like a graveyard, and all you now know is like, please don't let the name be there. Dude, and then you see your own name. And so now, like, he's on this entire quest, like, okay, my daughter. He finds her, and it's literally the opposite of Hawkeye. And it's the opposite, where he's like, wow, you've gotten really big. And it's like this idea of, like...
and this is another thing I want to bring up. First off, if we're talking about, like, emotional scenes, this is one of those movies where I think this is the most I've ever felt, like, a connection with Black Widow. Because her scene when she's giving off like all those mission reports and all that stuff, and she's just like she's just about to cry. She literally cries, and it's like this is the most vulnerable we see all these characters.
I know we're jumping around, but one of her friends, literally Hawkeye, the person that gave her the most amount of chances, because if you guys don't remember, in Avengers, he was sent to the Avengers to kill Black Widow because they found out she was a KGB agent, and so they were like, we gotta remove this. He's like, nope, she can do good. And that was that line, like, I'm gonna give you a chance because you gave me a chance, right? And it hurts her because when she was talking to Rhodey, because he alludes like, yo, he's in Tokyo, whatever, and he's like, I don't even want to see him, like, I don't want to bring him in, and it's like, because she fucking cries, like, the person who saved my life is like falling down this terrible path, like what Strix is saying. Strix, he lost everything, and it's supposed to be indiscriminate. Yet there are multiple gangs of terrible people who still sell drugs, who still human like kidnappings and rob banks, and like, he's like, I don't understand how my family who have done nothing. If it was me, I'd understand, but my family who have done nothing disappears. But these motherfucking yakuza are still around fucking people up. Like,
it doesn't make sense. Of like the life thing, right? Where we all come to that moment where it's like, but why me? Like,
right?
Like there's so much other fucked up
so bad
in the world, but me. And there is that legitimate response where it's like,
even though, like,
well, fine, if life fucked me, then I'll be the person to get the job done. That
my question is, how the fuck is Japan still functioning if there's a probability of half of Japan just fading away 5 years later, and it's like.
Well, I think that's why they did the 5 years, is because I think it's believable within 5 years they would be able to come back within the world's power. Because it's not like the whole world disappeared.
Because they kind of showed that flyover, right, before they get to the meeting.
They showed the flyover
where Captain America's
is just fucked.
But no, like, that's what I'm like, it's the reality of, because I was thinking about this in the movie. Like, sit back right now and just think about this. Think about your city. Think about everybody that you interact with on a day-to-day basis. Now think about how that would work if half of those people didn't exist. Like, how do you respond to, even though there's half as many people, there's half as many, and it's not like a guaranteed half. In a greater picture, the planet is half as populated. So there's, going back to that number, the city that you live in, everybody could have been gone in an instant.
Yep.
And I think
also. No, also real quick to go back to the whole the daughter grew up 5 years. That scene at the very end with Peter Parker and his friend, they go back to school. There are people in that school who have graduated that school and moved on and went to college.
Once again, convenient, but I completely believe that him and the people around him that were important died, or got snapped because it was like.
I mean, we got to see in the next movie.
I mean, if I'm being honest, that's just like a plot line thing. Well, we know the three major characters.
Yeah. Again, I don't see it as lazy. I can see it as definitely as convenient, but it works because it's like. Well,
it's just interesting to think about.
I guess the way I put to somebody is like imagine a version where they have to write Avengers where literally they just flip a coin like, okay, I guess in this version this character's dead.
It'd be kind of weird.
This character's dead.
It'd be kind of weird. You can do it in the comics because it's not actual actors, but it's weird if you had Tom Holland and Ned, which are I think they're both around the same age. They had to like kind of CGI age him up a little bit, where he's like.
Once a college,
he couldn't come on a trip because it's a high school trip, not a college trip.
That's what I'm saying. Like, imagine all of a sudden we go from an 8th grader to now his best friend is a freshman in college.
Not a freshman. It's 5 years. He would be graduating.
But I'm saying, like, just to give people a scale.
Yeah.
Like, if you're in high school.
If you're like 17,
you're a freshman
18,
in high school.
5 years later, you're almost done with college.
And that's where I look at people. I'm like, you have to recognize, like,
assuming college. I imagine it wasn't a thing for a little bit. Obviously,
suspension of disbelief.
Yes.
Like, there's certain things that you kind of just have to say. Like,
I'm fine
because they are.
I'm fine because they're willing to show like Hawkeye's daughter age. Everybody getting gray hairs. Natasha's hair becoming red again.
The kid in Iron Man 3.
Kid in Iron Man 3 shows up at the very end, which is crazy.
And
I didn't catch that the first 2 times I watched it. Actually, I had to watch a video.
No, like legitimately, like you don't get. I'm sitting up here like watching it.
There's
a
lot.
I'm like, okay, there's that person, there's that person, there's that person, there's that person, and I'm going through, and I looked at that kid. I was like, who the fuck is that kid supposed to fuck?
Listen,
no.
Kid from Iron Man.
Because it's supposed to be everybody that's significant to Tony Stark, and so I'm sitting up here like,
who?
Like, Tony kept good on his promise of helping that kid out.
It makes sense that the kid that helped him when Tony was a fugitive in Iron Man 3, when he was running away, and he was
when he was going through a mental breakdown and PTSD because of the Avengers shit.
Of course, I'm sure we know that the newer Tony, especially after like Avengers around Avengers, the original one, when he started helping the world more, there's no way with all his like infinite wealth he wouldn't send money that kid's way. There's no way he would.
I'm also gonna bring up the first Phase 4 speculation.
Yes. Go ahead.
There have been people, specifically because you brought up the scene at the end with Spider-Man's high school.
Yes.
There are people that saying if you freeze frame in that scene.
Yes. I didn't think about that.
No,
the administrator that walked out that was in the hallway was the guy that was one of the secret scrolls from Captain Marvel.
Hold on.
Which means Secret Wars could theoretically still be set up.
Shout out to chat. I didn't think about this. Donald Glover, he is Miles Morales' uncle.
Yep.
They don't
That's
ever
what chat
show
was
him,
bringing up.
but
he mentions his nephew.
Yep, he doesn't ever. We don't know his age either. He just says I have a younger nephew, right? But assuming it's been 5 years, he could still be like 7. Like he could be the same age as Peter Parker. Now, I could see them not wanting to do that because it's the same age and it's the same stories. But he could still be like 14.
I mean,
13, 14.
But I don't even think like
that's how old Peter is.
If I'm being very honest about it,
Peter's older.
If I'm being very honest, I don't even think you have to do that. You set it up so that the way it's going to happen is the way kind of modern Spider-Man comics work. You let Peter age through college, age into an adult, and still that 5-year gap, that 5-year change. Even if you say like, if we're saying Peter right now is, y'all said 15.
But that's what I mean, though. You could age. We could have Miles Morales that's like 13, 14. That's not the same age as Peter, but you could still have them interact with each other.
But what I'm saying is like, even if he was just born or was super young, if say he was 6, then for Peter to be an adult in 10 years, which would make Miles like, he'd be 11 now and then he'd be 16. He's getting ready to enter high school. The Miles Morales teenage stuff you can bring back in, and you can have both Spider-Men. But first of all, after the success of Into the Spider-Verse, I think that's happening. You can't fucking tell me any different.
Also, Miles is like just as, if not more popular than Peter in the comics right now. Because Spider-Man has been having issues. Peter in the comics.
One of the speculated list is that the third Spider-Man movie the third Spider-Man movie may be Secret Wars. And then and then that's where you start
get the suit, baby.
There's
if Sony wants to look, they could do, dude. Look,
that's the thing. It's like I don't think that they play like they're like, yeah, what were we gonna show after this movie? I think the point is they showed during the movie. they weren't just gonna sit on their ass and be like, because again, like if you think about Captain Marvel's whole plot, which we haven't talked about in this movie, Captain Marvel's whole plot is setting up Marvel Cosmic.
Which is what we needed for a long time. We needed more of an excuse to go, which we did with Guardians, but it wasn't enough.
When everybody's like, hey, why weren't you here? And her answer is like, hey, there were a lot of other planets out there.
And I'm guessing to clear it up, because there's been weird Secret Wars stuff. When we're talking about Secret Wars, I think Strix and I are both on the same page as Secret Wars, as in the Secret Wars suit, aka the Venom suit.
Yeah.
Which used to be called the Secret suit or Secret War suit because we didn't know what it was. But that's where the original Venom suit, the black suit, came from.
He like got teleported somewhere else or something, and then
yes,
he
it was Battle
with...
World. It was Battle World where all the heroes and villains had to like fight each other and do stuff and work together.
All right, because I'm trying to get us through the movie, because like that's the issue. This is a
we're still on the first act.
This is a 3-hour movie that you could honestly nitpick minute by minute, and probably still find something to talk about for an extended period.
We didn't even talk about before the time. Well, it was during the time heist. Fucking Professor Hulk. I didn't even think that was gonna ever happen. Dude.
So let's.
I was never expecting.
So here's the thing.
It makes sense for me. But
the worst part is some of these things were spoiled before the movie came out.
Yes,
I wasn't spoiled.
But I say this when people are like, "Well, how are you spoiled? You looked at something." No, it's stuff like Hasbro accidentally leaked a Professor Hulk toy. Now here's the thing.
I didn't see any.
Now, here's the thing. Being honest, we all knew that's where Mark Ruffalo, like, as a comic fan, with the way, people, like, again, they talked about this. It was originally going to happen in Infinity War, but they didn't feel like it fit at the end of the movie.
The setup, I didn't even think about it because they set it up completely in Infinity War where Hulk was like, nope, I'm not coming out again.
And so, yeah, like, the only way, like, that's what my entire thing was. I'm like, well, the only way we fix this is literally Banner-controlled Hulk. Like, you have to do that. And the way that they just kind of threw it in, I didn't feel it was cheap because it's like, well, it's been 5 years. What is Banner going to really do in 5 years beyond, like, fix himself? So let's start running down the list of stuff. Captain America is essentially in a support group because he's fucked up from it.
Yep.
Natasha is essentially the last the person trying to hold the Avengers. She's trying to save the world the best she can.
Yep.
Hawkeye's family is gone. He's on a rampage killing every evil motherfucker on the planet.
He's Ronin. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Ronin. Which
by the way, that costume.
When we saw it in the trailer,
they even had the ski mask, bro.
Yep.
Let me see. Professor Hulk exists. Ant-Man is basically the same person. He just pops out. Yo, that was kind of that was like, so we haven't even touched on the comedy in this movie, which I think was done where like
I loved it. This movie
where like
so good.
The kids run up and like Hulk, yeah, and he's
Hulk
taking
smash!
pictures. Yeah, he's having fun taking pictures or whatever. And then like, hey, you want a picture of me? I'm Ant-Man. And like the kids are like,
Strix, that was the weeb awkwardness. That was 100%. You sure you don't want to take a picture with me? Oh.
And after all that, then like you know, like your friend tries to step in.
Picture, man.
Your friend tries to step in and be like, oh, like, hey yo, y'all just want to take a picture and be nice with him, you know. Just take
here's the thing. Those kids survived, so it's been 5 years, and it's like they don't know about the whole Civil War thing.
No, most kids probably don't.
They're too young to know about who Ant-Man is.
Probably don't.
Hulk has probably been one of the more predominant heroes because he's the only person that could probably get around the planet in such a way to be like, hey, I'm helping as much as I can.
Also, he was eating his own flavor from Ben & Jerry's that they referenced in Infinity War, where Wong and Doctor Strange were going out. He's like, how much money you got? 200 rupees. Like, he's like, how much is this? Like $2. He's like, what do you? He's like, we got there's Hulk burning, or no, hunk of Hulk burning fudge or something stupid, and then there's like Tony Stark something Rocky. It was something stupid. Ben & Jerry fucking names, but the fact that literally Hulk is eating his own goddamn flavor of Ben & Jerry's in the movie, it's like, are you serious? Like,
it's like that's what I mean. But there's so much callback. So
and Stark Raving.
We hit that right now. Let's see.
Don't worry.
All right, so let's talk about the most bold claim this movie made. Apparently, Fortnite's going to be popular in 5 years still.
Fortnite survives the snap.
The fact that Epic really turned up the crunch if people still put
enough people at Epic Games live to keep Fortnite up, bro. Even when half the competition is snap, Fortnite survives, dog. How does that make y'all feel?
That was one of those just weird things where I was like,
Bro, even with Thanos a snap, you can't kill Fortnite. That's fucking insane.
Why do you think they
bro.
Why do you think they brought him in the game?
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Connections.
Russos were like, "Yo, we put Thanos into Fortnite. We'll make sure it doesn't get destroyed canonically. Canonically, Fortnite survives."
But specifically,
Thor.
I kind of alluded to it before, but Thor's PTSD has gotten infinitely worse, and probably the biggest surprise of the movie, which Marvel actually spoiled a few days after the movie came out by putting out a new trailer, which shows it.
Yes, they did.
I didn't see it.
Literally, they tweeted out in a tweet, like, Endgame is blah, blah, blah. Don't spoil Endgame. And put out a new trailer, which has spoilers for Endgame.
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to bring up Thor real quick. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
First off, this is coming from someone who didn't like those first two Thor movies at all. And we get to see Thor's more comedic side and all that shit after Ragnarok and all that shit, and it's like, okay, that's really cool. We get to see.
Which, by the way, what Chris Hemsworth wanted, because if you look back at Thor 1 and 2, he hated
those movies.
I know they were trying to be more accurate to the comics, but he had like blue contact lenses. He had the stupid wig and the blonde hair, and he had to talk like a Shakespearean thing, and obviously he wasn't comfortable with it. And people were like, "Who cares? Like, we believe you're a god, dude." Like, but go ahead.
So that goes into, all right, Thor Ragnarok. His world is his Asgard is gone, so that's strike one.
Mm-hmm.
We go into Infinity War. Strike two, he didn't go for the head.
Which
then
I still kind of make the point. It's not that he didn't go for the head, right? Like, I still want to say that. It's not that he didn't go for. It's that he went neither for the head nor the hand.
He just wanted to
like
hit him.
Just pick one
beam,
of
right?
the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has to go through the beam, and the beam is coming from the arm, so of course it would hit the chest.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I see where you're going with the strikes, but it's even worse than that, because I argue Thor has lost more than anybody in the MCU.
Oh, because Thanos killed all of his people as well.
No, not even before that. In Thor 2, he lost his mom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He lost the love of his life with Natalie Portman.
He lost his dad.
He lost his dad. He lost his brother. So
every family
member is now dead.
People. Yeah.
But which you could say about Hawkeye, but it was over a long term, and maybe he got over that. But then, like you said, he lost half his world in terms of population. He actually lost his entire world physically.
Mm-hmm.
Asgard.
But I want to make a point. But even you're not even just that, Shaz. He didn't lose half his people.
Yes.
Because the movie starts with Thanos fucking up the Asgardian ship of the people that are left.
I did see that. It was funny. People like, okay, so he snapped away half of like the 20 people that were only left after he whatever survived. Because spoilers, New Asgard is a thing, so there have to be Asgardians there. But literally, he snapped away like 10 people of the 20 that were around. It's like, dude, what a douchebag, right?
But yeah, but again, they all could have survived. Like, that goes back to the statistics where, again, we're not checking each character to be like who did.
But it's like okay, so I know people are gonna complain. This is the boldest thing they've done in this movie.
I love it. I personally love it because I think Chris Hemsworth wanted this. So people who are like, he wanted this. Ragnarok was way better, by the way. So
this for me makes the most sense. Seeing everything Thor went through, seeing just how everything affects him. It's like he tried his best. He did what he could. Nothing he does works.
Well, I think
that's gonna hit him.
If I'm being honest,
kill everything, right?
If I'm being honest, it's like it also plays to the character because
it does.
Thor is also in that position of like, hey, my last surviving parent just died. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm the king now. Mm-hmm. Hey, I just got all my people killed. Hey,
my brother's dead.
I failed to kill the guy even after we did everything else. Hey, my brother's dead. Hey.
His setup might be the best because literally every single problem he had, he thought he could fight through, and he failed.
He just couldn't.
The reason why he didn't break before was he there was always hope that he could fight through it.
It's kind of like Captain America is the idea of like he kind of had the Captain America mentality, and in that last moment when he realized the stones were gone, he kills Thanos and he flips to the Tony Stark mentality immediately.
And my dad and I were joking like, I can't believe he drank so much beer he got fat, especially when they showed him drinking like logs of beer before whatever, just so much beer that there's no way he could be fat. But then both my dad and I agree when I brought up like, it's not a physical thing. Physically, he could drink all the beer, why not get fat? It's up here. He has nothing to work for anymore. Up here, like we know that in Norse mythology they fight and drink and fuck and do all that shit all the time, right? It's like even Odin wasn't as this fat, and all he did was literally sleep and probably drink and eat all day, and probably look into the future or whatever. But it's like his Thor's mental game broke so bad that his body was like, I have no. Since your body doesn't, your mind doesn't care, your body doesn't care anymore, because it's like we have nothing to work for. Like that's it.
And also this we get
yes to Beast King. I'm just gonna answer that question. Yes.
Also, his face was on the side of the wall in Thor Ragnarok. So yes, he was one of the champions.
And also, and for all those people who are like, so why would Thor get to this point?
Mm-hmm.
If you're questioning that in the beginning, and it's like you don't see all this, like he then later in the movies he's talking to his mom because of the whole time heist thing, and he brings up the idea of I'm not supposed to be like the regular.
He doesn't feel worthy.
I'm supposed to be better. I'm supposed to be the worthy person who protects everyone and who's the king. Seeing everything he does
when
fail.
You literally have a weapon that your dad enchanted that says can only be carried by he who is worthy.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that would reassure you, but not only did it get broken in Thor Ragnarok, he's a different one. And now, like he said, ever since he became a leader or tried to stand up for Asgard, nothing went right. Ever. And that's just unfortunate. It's not his fault. We know watching his movies that he did try his best.
Yeah.
But shit happened. Like,
but that's it's the mentality of it. Like, I think looking at it, it's a hard thing to understand unless you just get the mentality of like people be like, hey, you tried your best, and fucking what?
Yeah.
Like it's what Tony says. So it's what everybody. It's like I don't need to be told I did my best. I lost.
Yeah.
And the issue with Thor as well is that what was supposed to happen in his mind was we find Thanos, I fucking win this time, and I fix it. Except this time he gets to Thanos, and Thanos doesn't even put up a fight. Thanos is like, I did what I was supposed to do. I won.
His arm looked like it was about to fall off just being on there.
His entire thing was like, it like snapping. I did something that, like, after everything y'all did, I did something that almost killed me. I'm still here, and now he's sitting there looking at him like.
There's so many comparisons you can make in the movie. And my argument is with Thor, the reason why he felt so like he never bounced back like Tony, aside from not having a support like Pepper, is that Thor felt like he did do his best, right? Aside from missing the head, he did what he had to do, and it didn't fix it like he thought it would. Like every other movie, he fights something, kills somebody, everything works out. Tony's bounced back because he can literally blame the others, like, you didn't listen to me to do this, you didn't listen to me to do this. I think he bounced back because even though he welcomes them, right, when they show up to his house, he's like, I love seeing you guys, especially after 5 years, if it wasn't for anything Avengers related. Like,
but I don't know if I agree. I think that it's more like Tony's idea is like, if he lost the game, he lost and he's mad. Like Thor, the moment they show up and they're kind of talking, because that's what the first part of the movie to me is about. It's like Iron Man being like, no, I'm fucking done. Yeah. But what ends up happening is like the moment they bring up like, well, we have this idea that we could do this thing, blah, 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 blah. Like, he gets in the back of his mind like, fuck, the game's not done. I can still
Look, the only reason it's fine to disagree. I might be coming from a different place, but for me, the only reason I say that is because you find two people who tried their best, who lost everything to them that they felt. Again, Tony got lucky with Pepper, but like he lost Stark he lost Peter, he lost all the Guardians. He feels responsible because he saw a vision before anybody else.
Yeah,
and he feels like he failed them, and it's just like one tried their best, the other one felt like they're being held back, right? The other one was like, yo, we could have done this. We probably might have failed still, but I knew about this for 6 years.
But I think that's like, I guess, yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
because I guess that's
one's coming from a logical standpoint, definitely, and one's coming from an emotional standpoint.
I think the logical standpoint for Tony Stark is also like, because honestly, Tony Stark, like he can't accept though that he never actually accepts that he's lost. It's like the idea of, if nobody ever tells you there's a fourth quarter in a basketball game and you only think there's 3 quarters,
you give up.
Then it's it's like, all right, cool. But the moment somebody tells you like, oh, there's another quarter,
wait, run it back. But you're right. You're absolutely
because
right.
Because he literally, like, that entire first meeting. So we can go to that because we didn't get to Tony Stark. Tony Stark, honestly,
made out very well.
Is the only one that you could argue fared out well, which speaks to Tony's character.
I know why they did it. I know why they did it, and it infuriates me because it works so well. Because go figure, right? The guy who feels like he did all this stuff, he works out, and now it's the fucking mob movie where they're like, we need you or like the heist movie, literally, where they're like, we need you for one last job, and it's like, why? I have everything I want here.
But the funny thing is,
he literally says that.
But I think that's the funny thing is like it plays more to his character as well. Yeah, whereas like it's the idea of like he's like, no, I'm not helping you, but it's like it goes back to that dick that we know Tony Stark isn't.
The curiosity
all the stuff that he has now. Like the idea is that as he looks at what he has, and he knows what everybody lost, and he's like,
I mean, even Pepper
if I have a chance to do what's right.
Yeah, I mean, Pepper even says it, like we talked earlier, like we got really lucky, but others mostly didn't, and it's like, would you be able to rest knowing that you could have done something and didn't? And he's like, are you sure? She's like, Tony, like my entire life, my biggest failure is not being able to stop you from doing something, and it's like,
I think to me, and that is to me like one of those things of like the hero side of Tony Stark. Is that amidst everything else and all his problems, if there is a problem that he realizes he can solve and he can do something, it's almost like he's compelled to do. Like he can't just.
I appreciate his reaction.
His rules, remember, he set rules. He's like, we're not going back 5 years. We bring them back.
That's
and nothing changes.
Yeah,
like I have my ending.
He has a daughter now. He can't change
He's
that.
like, here are my priorities. Say, bring everyone back. Yeah, sure, but I gotta keep everything that I have.
Which is crazy, right? Because he's also introducing more problems, even though it's the right thing. The consequences that there are probably a lot of people who got remarried, have different significant others, different jobs, different kids, different states. They're living in different parts of the area, and he's like, this is the only way to be quote unquote fair.
And that's also the selfish part.
Yeah,
where he's like, fuck you, I played Persona and I got my good in. You fucking aren't taking that from me, goddammit. You aren't taking
that away from me, bitch.
The rest of y'all get y'all a chance. But
Strix, it's just like when XCOM 2, even though you worked your ass off on the hardest difficulty and XCOM 1 to get the good ending, XCOM 2 took the bad ending because most people got the bad ending, and you're like, fuck you, I got the good ending. Give me the good ending. Start for XCOM 2.
I'll give the rest of y'all a chance, but you better. And like to me, that automatically raised the stakes, and unfortunately, sent up the tried and true, like Shaz was talking about, the cop movie. I got one more day on the force. I got one more job. I was like,
God damn it.
Tony ain't Tony. Like, because for the longest time, I didn't think Tony was making out of it. I always saw it as he's the one that started it.
His contract was ending. They gotta.
I mean, even with that,
just with the.
I think from a Tony Stark, to me, Captain America will fight until is like the ideal good that will fight until there's no man left.
Mm-hmm.
And the stupid thing about it, and this goes back to you can go to Superman. The stupid thing about it is you need a man like that. Like it's the thing. It's the man like Tony Stark, the up and down arc of good, bad, selfish, not selfish, that ends up generally making the sacrifice because they recognize like, hey, or if we want to parallel a later point in the movie, the conversation really between Black Widow and Hawkeye is one of like, you need to live because you have something to come back from, to come back for. Like the cop on the force is like, hey, kid, like the statement. Hey, kid, I've had 60 years. You're on year 1. You got plenty living ahead.
Yeah. There's a lot of consequences this movie poses just purely by bringing people back, which was probably the right choice, like Cardiac and other people have been saying, and reviewers. I would love, since Disney Plus is going to be a thing, I would love a Netflix-style documentary fake show where they literally follow the lives of people after the snap and 5 years later.
They confirmed it, by the way, that all of the Disney Plus shows are post-snap.
Yes, but that's what I mean. I would love literally like a Netflix
the post Infinity War.
Yeah. I would love a Netflix style documentary on Disney Plus where it's like following people, the like support groups.
Because they hint at it, right?
Yes, they do.
Because the guy is like, yeah, like I went on a date last night and he was
Which
great.
is, by the way, one of the directors. That was I forget if it was Joe or
Kevin-
Anthony Russo, but that's one of the guys. Yes.
And he was sitting up here like, it was great, it was this, it was that. And like, yeah, he cried during blah, blah, blah. And he's like, how'd the date go? And it's like, it was great. I cried during like the soup, but you know, I'm going to see him again. And it's this idea that like, it's the trauma like Shaz is talking about, like being able to show that on paper. Because like, I mean, to people, there are people that went to sleep and woke up.
With the significant other next to them, and now they're gone.
There are people that had what Hawkeye happened. There
Babies
are people
disappear from their crib. I can't imagine waking
there
up to
there are
my
people
wife
that
or my kid just fucking gone.
And there are
I
people.
can't imagine.
And it's not like they were wiped from your memory, right?
No, that's right, exactly.
And that's also what like the last when Thanos starts talking about,
which is a plot point. It's literally a plot point.
Like because it's brought up. Like the reality of it is, knowledge of losing something is such a like the feeling of knowing what you lost.
Right.
Like the ignorance is bliss statement.
Yeah, he literally says that. The reason why he doesn't. It's funny because he says my plan didn't work because it's not like I didn't do what I needed to. It's because you guys can't appreciate the fact that what I did for you was the right thing. So therefore, I'll do this other thing. We'll get there when we get there. But I love that line where it's literally like, oh, I did what I needed to, but because you guys still remember everything,
that's the problem.
That's the problem.
Like
you remember what you've literally the line was you remember what you've lost and don't understand what you've gained.
Yeah, and because
it's like that's so powerful.
It's like it's something that talks so much about.
Fuck me, dude.
All right, so we get the team back together. Ant-Man explains it. They have a little bit of shenanigans.
They explained the bullshittery of time travel, like it doesn't work, like
all right.
Which
so
we're not gonna.
Let's talk about the Easter. But let's talk about Shaz.
Yeah, the Easter eggs. Yes.
So that Easter egg. Do you all realize that Captain America, as in Chris Evans, can come back whenever he wants?
Yes.
They de-aged Ant-Man in the movie from a baby to an old man and back and forth all across the time stream. There is nothing to say they can't put him in that suit as an old man and send him back to prime.
Well, it's not even sending him back because remember the idea was what I love the way they explained how they did this stuff. It was with time travel. What was it? You were allowing time to go through you, and that was the problem. You had to let time to go around you or whatever, and that was the issue. I forget how it was explained, but like Strix said, they probably could optimize it. Literally have like a tube where it's just Pym particles where they're like, we're gonna allow time to go through you, Cap, in reverse to bring you back to when you're like 35 in your prime or whatever.
But why would they do that though? Because
why? Because if I'm being real, if we're not talking now, if we're talking 20, 30 years from now.
Because they already have the technology to de-age people like what we saw with Nick Fury. That's what we're saying.
Like if we get to a point where Marvel Cosmic is a thing, and we're talking not just galaxies, not just universes, not just life, but reality at that point. That's where you pull out like
all the stops.
The first time we might get like a 4-hour movie where they're like, no, we have to give every single person. We don't even also going back to the Namor point. Namor is viewed by a lot of times in Marvel Comics as one of the most ancient of mutants in Marvel Comics. That's why he can also be used to start to introduce more.
He's one of the early ones. He has tiny little wings on his feet.
Actually, you bring that up. The Infinity Saga was very much a science. Science can explain everything. Saga.
Pretty much.
This new story arcs, these new story arcs that we could start. It's like, this saga is like, mutants exist. Magic exists. It's like, there's so many new possibilities.
Scarlet Witch has always like this idea of so far Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were the like little dangling, and even Scarlet Witch is like the magic side of things.
Yep.
And now they can really play it up.
Even though she does like the generic magic thing in the movies, I think once they acquire X-Men, they can fully use her to potential with how she works, which is her powers. I think random probability, what it actually is, and so she's.
Can we just say how she's like she's possibly one of the strongest.
No, she is.
That's in the comics too. That's nothing new.
If you know,
I know.
If you know, like, I mean, they hint at that in this movie because they're talking about
She
how
a
Carol
motherfucker,
Danvers, but when she was ready to fuck
Again,
him up.
people, when it comes to magic, it's hard with like a hard. That's one of the reasons Doctor Strange keeps getting nerfed in the comics, because when he first got introduced, he was OP because he literally could do anything, and now they've been nerfing him over the years because, again, magic, having a hard magic limit is kind of hard to see, like visually, because it's magic. But again, Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, all those people that have magic or some type of ethereal property are at their strongest when you have a big event like Avengers, especially like Endgame, because they're only as strong as their story allows. Yeah. They're way too strong. Same with Captain Marvel. They're way too strong.
So we get everybody. All right. So we have the time heist, and this is where I think, if I'm gonna be honest, this second act of the movie, if you have not kept up with the MCU, all you're looking at is a bunch of people jumping back in time and not recognizing why so much of this is like such good moments.
People knew exactly what movie we were going to when it said 2012 only. They didn't even have to show the entire city with the Chitauri or anything. It literally said 2012, and my fucking theater went crazy. They're like, oh my god. And it's the same.
They mentioned Asgard. They mentioned, like, as they start mentioning these places, you also realize what.
By the way, can we appreciate the fact that literally when they're talking about because they're telling the audience at what times to get the stones, right? Which I appreciated. It didn't just go back to random times like, oh, we know it's times we saw with the movies because that's all they know, right? Obviously, the stones existed at different times in different places, but they only exist in places that they know of. And I appreciate the fact that like Hulk, Tony, and like Black Widow are like all laying down on a table, like thinking about stuff, and she's like, you know that if we time it right, 3 stones are in New York at the same time. And they're like, what? They're like, excuse me?
Also,
it's like, oh my god, it's so worth it for little things like that characters didn't even know about. You know what I mean? Like, it's so
going to the weeb awkwardness. By the way, Thor's explanation where he's up in the front just being like, so here's this, and that was my girlfriend, but she's not. And okay,
yes, and the dark elves put it in her. Ooh.
I want to bring up 2 things. Okay, so there are 2 type of people. There are people who prefer the more serious Thor, and there are people who prefer the more comedic Thor.
Of course.
As someone who definitely prefers the more comedic Thor, this is some of the best Thor.
Literally, Tony calls him, okay, move out the way, Lebowski.
He literally had the joke was hilarious.
He had the greasy like wife beater on with like the jack. He looks so dusty and gross, dude. It was amazing. By the way, I love the fact that the shot when they all get in the quantum suits and they put their fists together, you can tell who Thor's is because his fucking arm is like Hulk's fits, but it's like fit muscle, like. But his is just like.
And so
I saw that arm and I'm like, oh, that's Thor.
Yeah, it's so good.
So please, I mean, but even like, okay, so next I thought Hawkeye was gonna die.
Yes, I did.
Especially after those moments where he almost broke rule number goddamn 1.
Yeah, he really did.
He was like, yeah, I'll do it, and they sent him back to his house. Like, all right, like, I understand why.
Yes, it was the emotional thing. I understand why. Because it's been 5 years,
the
right?
fact, and he's like, wait, they're here, and you're like, fucking don't do it. Fucking get him out. Fucking pull him back, goddamn. And then you see his daughter. And the funny thing is about a lot of these movies, I want to go back and see how many scenes that maybe like were one-offs back in the day that I might not have been paying attention to. That it's just like, oh yeah, like we got the camera angle right, so that even if you go back, you'll never notice that we did it. Because
they were in a random alleyway, or there's a building, or it's
like just a new shot, like the Thor on the car thing in New York.
A lot of those things people did. It also works because I believe people said some of the stuff was from deleted scenes of older movies that they never used, or they used, but of course it was a deleted scene. And that was the reference. That was the reference with Loki when he made fun of Captain America, like Roger, that whole bit. It's like that was from a deleted scene or whatever.
Well, Strix, you're bringing up like looking back at the old movies and shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
That won't work because remember different.
Okay, so let's bring that up because Cardiac brought it up in chat.
Yes.
So one of the running jokes in this movie is that, hey, no, time does not work like Back to the Future. Shut your ass. How you fuck.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
I want to make a point. The fact that we are talking about movies and Hot Tub Time Machine is one of the fucking references. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what the fuck is wrong?
Die Hard, Strix. What do you mean? Die Hard's a time travel movie.
Die Hard. Wait, that's not right.
And so to explain it very simply is
so stupid.
When the time flows in a singular way, when you change something, you make an alternate timeline.
They visualized it too.
Multiversal time theory. Once again, this is a conversation between butterfly effect, right, where you change one thing and boom, boom,
yes,
boom, boom, boom. This is a conversation between the Ancient One and the Hulk, which was still kind of fun. Hey, I need that stone. No. Sorry, sit down. Hey, this man's just like, oh.
Sit your ass down.
Okay, let's try this again. Branch theory. There we go.
Yes.
And so they eventually come up with the whole thing. The only reason this works, by the way, chat, and this explains why certain things happen later in the movie, which we'll get to, characters dying.
Yes.
That doesn't affect the timeline. Because essentially, the statement that Hulk makes is what makes sense. Think about the present. When you go travel to the past is now your future, and the present is now your past. So so you cannot inevitably change it. Like, you can't actually go back to the moment and physically change.
And the way they explain it to the audience, even though he's explaining it to the Ancient, was if we come back to the same moment where we took it, it never left.
So theoretically, they could have an entire movie of just where Captain America pops up in an instant, hands the stone back, pops out. Or
Can
puts
we
the
also
stone
say
back.
the way they got all the stones were so amazing? Like, the way Hulk, I literally thought Hulk was gonna have to fight her or something crazy, right? And he's like, please, like, he's like really begging, like, because he's not faking it, obviously. Because she's like, no, she's like, this is my entire job within our society is to protect this stone, the Eye of Agamotto, and he's like, please, like, Doctor Strange told us there was one in chance. Like, she's like,
because she even asked where Strange was, and she's like, over a few weeks. And then when he says that, it's the look on face of somebody that knows time. Like,
it was like, all right, it's like, I can't give it to you. It's like, this is very important. And he's like, so why would Doctor Strange give it away? And she's like,
willingly? He's like willingly gave it away.
Wait.
She's like, I messed up.
And that's what I mean, like, where it's so like. It goes back to that sentence that we were talking about. I found one possibility, and we're in Endgame now, where you're realizing, like, that sentence not being said exists in a future that doesn't work out.
It's funny because they definitely have, even though they said this movie doesn't work like Back to the Future 2, they definitely have Back to the Future 2 moments where they fight each other or other versions of themselves.
Okay. So bringing that up, this might be the best case of seeing the actor fight the same actor that we've ever had in a movie. Captain America fighting Captain America, and this guy, and they have the tricks,
Alejandro,
the camera cuts and all that stuff.
I appreciate you, but that's America's ass.
That is America's ass. God damn it, that's a fat fucking ass, baby.
Motherfucker. That's America's ass right there.
That is such a. And then at the very end, he looks like. Man, that really
is a good ass.
Like,
I can do this all day. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And then even like the little point of like where he fucks up and he's like, "Where'd you get this?" Forget.
No. Can we just say the way he got out of the chokehold from himself was saying that Bucky was alive and his older self was like, "What?" He's like, "Bah."
Like, it's one of those things that only works because you know yourself well enough at that time, or even like.
Yo, Strix, Kingdom Hearts 4 is confirmed. What?
Shout out to the Captain America, the first few scene reference was like, I can do this all day, and it's like, yeah, I know.
Like, it's corny for him at this point. Like, they probably made jokes about him in the future too.
We're ignoring, like, all right. So I'm a fan of a storyline a lot of people weren't a fan of.
I'm a fan of it as well. I know
but
exactly
seeing him get in that fucking elevator and then say "Hail Hydra," I was like, I want that.
They made a controversial comic book moment unbelievably badass, because what you're expecting is they literally shot it the exact same way with the exact same people in a different timeline. Obviously, it's earlier, and you're like, it's gonna be the badass elevator scene, which was like one of the best ones of Winter Soldier. And the fact that he's like, I'm good. It's like, Cap, I got my orders. It's like, I'm good. And he says Hail Hydra, and he just walks away and smiles.
And like,
why would it makes me mad when time travel movies don't use knowledge they already know in the future, right? So like that's so smart.
So now with the time travel and the branch theory that's been introduced, they have already come out and made the statement that they want to do more of the what if kind of movies and storylines.
Oh yeah.
Which means the chance of a Secret Empire like event is still possible, and I love it.
I would love if they did one-off. I won't even say one-off, but like the what-if storylines, like Marvel Zombies, all that crazy stuff. Later down the line,
for like a horror movie for October.
Why not? Just why not?
That Hail Hydra shit. I think in both times I went to the theaters to see it, everyone was like, "What the fuck?"
I'm sure someone who's so vehemently hate the comics probably still hates it, but I think most people.
I'm very mixed on the comics, but I it's like whatever.
I think people who hate in the comics are like that because it was clever and it makes sense. Mm-hmm. You're using future knowledge to change an outcome in the past. Like, oh my god.
Second thing, Tony Stark took a hit from the Hulk pretty well.
The
Hulk. All things considered, like he took a shoulder pretty damn well. And
so many stairs.
Okay.
I hate the stairs.
Okay.
So good.
Say what I don't get the fact that so there was a part in the original Avengers where Loki shoots Iron Man out the window, and that's a plated window. That's technically a death there. It's by this point, it's like small things, like just things like that. It's like, okay, they're gonna survive this shit. It's whatever.
But so with that, people have already talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
We already have the possibility of our new Disney Plus show, because Loki's getting a show, which they never address. Loki taking the Tesseract in that moment and what that does to.
So now we have a completely different context, like Nini was saying. Just we're getting to it, Nini. Now we have a completely different context for the show because people are like, well, he's dead, so it has to be a prequel. But now,
it is a prequel.
It's technically before because it's Avengers 1 Loki, but now we get to see him with the Tesseract, and it's like. It's so good, because remember, the Ancient One was already understood that timeline was probably fucked anyway.
Also,
it's weird, but
I would also like to make a point, Alejandro, because of how much you like the Thor movies. This is before Thor 2. This is before Loki's change of heart and everything that happens throughout the Thor movie.
Yep.
Yes.
So this is purely like.
This is chaotic evil.
Mischievous.
Yep.
Like Loki, ready to go. So, Nini, you're asking the question. We don't know. That's what the TV show that's going to be on Disney Plus is going to explain. It is now at this point Loki, like a timeline where Loki. The fact that like they use Ant-Man to give himself a heart attack in the dog, like it's so much small shit in this.
Again, it's even though people make the thing of like, oh, the people don't understand. Even though that was the past, that was a different timeline in the past. Like it was they were in the past, but they were in a completely different timeline, which means that Loki was always inevitably going to get the Tesseract at that moment, regardless, because that's how that works. You know what I mean? Like it just.
Okay.
I know, but it means that he was going to get it anyway, and the Ancient One even saw that. Like, yes, it's the past, but it's not because events played out differently. In crucial areas.
So let's talk. So in New York, they go in, they steal the Space Stone,
the Tesseract, yes.
Space Stone, Time Stone, and Power. No, it's not Power.
No,
because Power Space is Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, Reality is red.
Reality is Asgard.
The Ether, yes, that's the Ether. What was it? Yeah, it's the Time Stone. The
Mind.
Soul.
No, because mind. It has to be mind. It has to be mind, space, and time.
Mind, space, and time. Yes,
okay.
Yes.
So those three are the three they get from New York.
Okay.
Not all goes as planned.
Yeah.
The Tesseract gets taken by Loki, so they have to go get the Space Stone.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings up the point of, which again, like this is one of those times where we were talking about something. I think we were talking about Game of Thrones, and I made a point of like I don't always like when things televise what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But they kept being like, hey, this will only be a one-way trip. Hey, this will only be you only got one chance. And I'm like,
of course the logical thing is, why don't you just go back to time when where Hank Pym had a bunch of particles?
Exactly what was said. Like, hey, what the Space Stone and this is back further. So we're gonna put a pause there. We'll come back to that.
Mm-hmm.
We cut over to the 4 people from Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
Mhm.
We have Nebula,
Rhodey,
Hawkeye,
Hawkeye,
Black Widow.
and Black Widow.
So the 4 of them, Hawkeye, Black Widow, fly off to
Vormir. What is
Vormir. I was gonna call it Red Skull Planet, but yeah, Vormir.
It is Red Skull Planet.
And we get like this conversation about what's gonna happen. This is where conflict actually shows up in the movie, because now I don't know why she still has those circuits, but technically Thanos is
Dude,
dead,
the
so I
Wi-Fi
guess it doesn't
password is
matter.
still the same. The Wi-Fi password is still the same. My God.
And so because she's in the past where she's with Thanos, essentially the 2 minds are still linked. So when time shit happens, again, don't think too hard. Time shit happens, and so she gets what is technically a vision of her future from her past, and is still able to see all of her memories from the future in the past.
Well, for regular Nebula, it's just all recorded stuff.
But
and my understanding is because Nebula is so mechanical, like so much of her is biomechanical. That,
at that point,
it makes it would make sense. I know it's a stretch.
It's all in the cloud.
If it happened with other characters that were human, like just regular people, I'd be like, what? That's kind of crazy, even though that's happened in like, again, comics and other stuff before. But the fact that they use Nebula, I think, is good because she's very important to this movie. Also,
she fucked up. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Yes, she did.
Because like,
Yes, she did.
so there's a whole storyline. They wait for Quill, knock him out.
I thought, by the way, they
That
were
was
going
funny.
to do the thing. I thought they were going to do the thing in comics, reference the Nebula thing in the comics. I was like, yo, she's getting a lot of play. She's getting so much play. It's crazy.
So two things. First off, the Quill thing, that was fucking hilarious.
Dude, the fact that
they're just looking at him dancing with no music.
It's literally the like what it looks like out of like of a like a JoJo character's ability time range thing, and it's like literally like, of course it's stylized in Guardians 1 where the thing pops up and he's like, it's like perfectly timed and it's like perfectly cut synced, and you see him like dance, but he can't sing for shit, and he's like dancing and they're like, what the fuck, like this is like, it's literally like behind the scenes unedited raw footage, and it's like, this is dumb, like he's an idiot. And
so
like,
and the other thing I want to bring up
so
for this movie specifically, before we really don't see much in terms of like getting into the characters of Black Widow and Nebula. I think this movie, more than any other, really gave us a sense of who those characters are and getting us to actually feel for those characters.
Well, it makes sense because the 2 closest people to Thanos are Gamora and Nebula. So it makes sense that Gamora already got a lot of play in the first 2 Guardians, and then she got the whole,
and now it's Nebula's turn.
So it makes sense. There's a lot more weight behind her too.
And the fact that she's the one to more or less believe. But we'll get to that. All right. So eventually what ends up happening is we make a giant fuck up. They get the stone. They're like, all right, let's go back. And
nope.
She gets a little thing in spasms. Now, my next question. Why the fuck did she run back to the ship? Why did she not just stand the fuck back up and hit the fucking button?
Oh, I think that's easy. I think the thing was she missed the window for going back, was it not? Because isn't that the same thing that Cap did, where it's like they literally time it to like come back out of, because they all come back at the same point, remember?
But I feel like, all right,
I understand what you're saying, because you're right.
Okay, so let's talk. My issue is that I'm applying time logic of, if you can come back to any point in time, you're never late. You can't be late if you can time. But the idea is because like Rhodey's like, all right, let's sync.
Right, because they all have to come back at the same time.
But
they only have enough. Yes.
And okay, I can go with that because she's trying to get to the ship, and I don't know what. Maybe she's gonna fly back to Earth and
Strix. If that line wasn't there where he says "let's sync," and also the fact that when they come back, they all come back together at the same time instead of individuals coming back.
But let's have a question. Let's have a question.
Yes.
How does future Nebula get back at the correct time then? Or how does evil Nebula still manage to pop back up with the rest of them later on?
No, because they still have the PIM. No, they have the PIM particles, and so okay.
That is weird.
Like, okay, that's one of the.
So Strix. So she set up the time and the coordinates and all that. You gotta also remember that they have Ebony Maw still.
Oh, I know why. Because I forget. Because Nebula was trying to. No, she wasn't going back to the ship to try to get out. She was trying to warn Hawkeye.
Warn.
in
that he knows. Yeah.
they're gonna go to the over there and just sacrifice them or whatever. It's like
Mhm.
you're right, you're never late, but I think that makes way more
But
sense.
now,
as, like,
my thing's like I get.
you're
Okay.
right. You're
Okay, well
absolutely
I'll go
correct.
with that. It's one of those things that you're thinking about
Dude,
too
no,
hard.
you're
'cause-
right. You're right. It's convenient, but for me, it's they've given me enough where they're like that course of action made sense because if she just
Yeah.
left, she wouldn't have been able to warn them. Obviously, it didn't matter because she couldn't contact them, but the fact that she would willingly do that, I think, meant a lot for her character. I felt like.
Yes. All right. So
Okay.
we get a situation where she gets captured by past Thanos. We're gonna call him past Thanos because the only way it's gonna make sense.
Yes.
Because present Thanos is dead. All right. Cool.
Thanos 2.
Yeah.
Guardians of the
T2.
Galaxy. Yeah. Guardians. Yeah. T2 Thanos. All right.
Yeah,
So now we pop over to Group 3 on Vormir,
yes.
Mm-hmm.
and this is where like.
Where I feel like they did the cinematography almost the exact same way, or as close as possible, by the way,
Which can we also
Ugh.
make the point that is the one thing late in the movie that I'm mad about.
What?
I want the interaction when fucking Captain America shows up on Vormir.
dude, that would have been great.
But they just is part of the movie that's just not there. Like Alejandro, you show up someplace and like, hey, I need your help, and turns around and it's your arch nemesis that you thought was dead,
fuck.
and you're like,
But Strix, I'm telling you, they thought about that, but the payoff with the ass and the elevator was way better. They're like, that's
Yeah.
way better than
Come on, Strix.
talking,
so
What
we
would
have
you
a
Also,
prefer, America's
Strix,
ass or...
Strix, nothing would get done because Captain America wouldn't have allowed someone to get sacrificed anyway.
So with that
That's
all said, I mean,
And those two
no, I'm
characters
talking about in the
make the most
past.
sense.
I'm talking about in the past. I'm talking about at the end of the movie.
okay, I see what
I want to see that interaction, but ignoring
okay.
ignoring that, they go there, they meet up, they learn the rule: a soul for a soul, a soul for a soul.
Yeah.
And then we have an entire fight scene that is which one of us can jump off the cliff.
I think that was kind of goofy. I feel like they didn't really.
No, 'cause
that was
I-
really goofy.
It made sense to me though between those two characters.
Like,
Okay, it makes sense. I feel like you lose a bit of weight for the emotion when you do something like that.
Because-
the only reason because like we have this line where it's like Hawkeye feels like he's beyond saving, and he's done so much that all he wants is his family back, but even if he's not there, he's fine
I
with him
appreciate
being
that
back.
whole interaction because they literally like shake hands and hug, and they're like, "We know what you have to do." Like, yep, and they're like, "I don't think we're talking about the same person."
Also, when they were get there and he's like, "This can't be real." It's like, "What? Were you gonna believe him?" It's like because he knows our dad's names. He's like, "I don't know." Like,
Black
Widow's
Widow
"I
doesn't
don't
know
my
her dad's name, and he just like, it's crazy. But I know where you're coming from. It's like it's a little silly, but for me, it makes sense. It's like they both feel like, the only family Black Widow's ever had is the Avengers.
The Avengers, yeah.
And he's already lost everything that he considers family. He has the Avengers, he loves them still, but his actual family is gone, and he's
Yeah.
been literally killing like drug lords and stuff. Which, don't get me wrong, if you're in that type of business, I think no one's gonna cry over drug lords and terrible people dying like that. But still, it's way out of the law.
He's still a killer.
Yeah, and so he felt like that wasn't the type of person he was. So I just appreciate it because it just shows that if it was any other character, I think this fight would have been even sillier because of all the characters being like super powered or something. But the fact that like they literally
They're the only two.
he throws, she literally texts the throw, counters, and then he like gets up, shoots an arrow, explodes, and it's like it makes so much sense that it's like.
So
And-
okay.
Oh,
So first, yeah, those two are the characters that make the most sense to like be in that scene. But also, I just want to say that this is the first scene where I truly did cry because this is like for as we don't get much of Black Widow in terms of how she is as a character and as a
I'm
human
glad
and all
I'm
that
glad
stuff.
Scarlett Johansson got to spread her like like arms and like just with this role just
Mhm.
really fill it out because I know she's been wanting to do a lot.
Rumored
But
Black Widow
is it-
movie. We'll talk about that. Oh.
It's got to be it's got to be before.
No, it doesn't.
Arms?
It has to.
Nah, it doesn't.
Or
Like let's be technical. Like
Yeah,
as
no,
as
no,
I'm
no, you're right,
I'm
you're
only
right,
being
you're right,
technical. Not
You're right.
like I'm only being technical because we see after he gets the stone, he wakes up like Thanos.
No, I
did.
think they actually confirmed that it is.
What?
I think they confirmed
It could be.
the Black Widow movie that it is.
But I think it's going to be a combination of the two. It's not going to be one or the other specifically. Because I think we still need to see more of her backstory.
Also, can we just appreciate the fact that even though it's a PG-13 movie, and I don't say we are, there's a lot of cursing and there's a lot of blood in this movie.
Yep.
Like, when Black Widow died, obviously didn't show impact, but like they just showed like
Are you sure?
blood.
Yeah, because like there was a point where you're like, that's kind of her. No, that's definitely not her hair. That's,
Yeah. I was like, oh man, that was. I thought they were gonna do like a beautiful her like headband like broke or something.
But
that was just a pool of blood. I was like, God damn.
Can we talk about that with both of those deaths?
Yeah,
like
it's rough.
that shot lingers for a minute. Like they don't just like, yeah, she's dead. It's like, she's fucking dead. Stare at it. Look at it. Okay.
This can't be undone.
It hurts because literally Hawkeye is like doing his best to like bring both of them up, right? Like you can see him flexing and really trying, and he fucking can't. And like her arm, she never held onto his arm the entire time. She was just like, nope. I was
Let go.
Like, fuck, dude. Like I can't. I couldn't.
But that's the like.
It was so good.
And she was like the only person to be like, yeah, I like that. Her family. She was saving her family. He had a family to go back to. Is ultimately what that scene came down to.
Dude, my body. I was like,
it's okay.
Yeah. Again, I don't think there's one single thing in this movie that made it R, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was because they curse and I don't know who they paid off the ratings board or whatever. They curse a lot. People.
Nah, they're literally. I think they're just sitting up here saying like, yo, look, it's once in 11 years. Let us just get away with this one time. For the one time. So now they have the
shot, by the way. They have the fucking berserk shot. I love that shot in Infinity War, and they do it again when he has the stone in his hand, the fucking eclipse, and he's in the water. That's the berserk shot with Griffith. I was like,
okay.
Fuck.
They have the power and the soul stone. So now they have 5 of the 6, right? No, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
No, 4.
They have to
4
go
of the 6.
But they have to go back in time.
No, 5 of the 6.
Yes, because they have to go back in time to get the Tesseract.
They got the Power Stone. Rhodey got the Power Stone.
Mind, power, time.
All they need is the Tesseract. All they need is the
space.
Tesseract.
They have reality. Yeah, they have everything. Yeah.
Oh wait, no, because we didn't even talk about Asgard. So Raccoon and Thor go in, and once again, as much as I love Raccoon,
they're forcing you to be like, I know you hate Thor too. But we're gonna make
dude, it's so
but
good.
I'm saying Raccoon, like Rocket Raccoon, was great in this movie. But again, I think it's very hard to argue with Chris Hemsworth's performance throughout any scene he was really in, because when he got to Asgard,
he became a full dude. Strix, I felt anxiety because he was on his full NHK grind, dude. He was like, I can't, nope, I can't do it.
He was like, got it, nope.
No.
He was on his full neat grind. He's like, I can't see anybody. I can't talk to anybody. I can't do anything.
And so he runs away, and now they're in a bad situation. Rocket needs to go get the Power Stone. He's, I think, chasing his mom at this point. Following his mom.
He's hiding from his mom. He's hiding from his mom.
Yeah, he's hiding from his mom. All right, cool. Now, we'll come back to that because or we can just talk about that. I think the meeting between his mom and him is like one of the sweetest points in the movie, because it's that idea of like, if you've lost somebody, you know that feeling of like, if I had one more chance, and like he wants, and he so badly wants to tell her, and she's like, no, like
this now it's like this is the day they went to. This is the day that she dies.
And even Rocket's like,
she doesn't know.
Even Rocket's like, this is the day. He's like, fuck, dude. Like, and I know this is like, who's he to say, don't prevent someone from dying, because they're literally trying to reverse that. But it's like, we gotta.
But the funny part isn't even so much that he said that; it's that the person that says that, like, his mom recognizes him.
That he's not the same one. He's like, and I love the fact that it's more lore. She's like, come on, I was raised by witches. Come on.
But I think like that,
or not my son from this timeline.
Like I see more than what yeah. And so like they're talking, and she even makes the joke of like, maybe eat another salad.
Yeah, and it sucks because he's like, I gotta tell you. She's like, no, you don't gotta tell me anything.
Like, and that's the thing. She knows what he wants to say.
Yeah.
It's like one of those, and she was just like, it's that hug, and then he's just kind of like.
And then Rocket off screen gets her. By the way, because the actor doesn't give a fuck. I love it. By the way, the fact that his ex-girlfriend. I forget.
Natalie Portman.
Jane.
Yes, Natalie Portman. They get the ether off screen. He's like, I got it. We gotta get out of here. And then Thor's like, 1 second.
Oh,
And
but I think
and then
that's
Rocket's
also
like-
something
and-
so small because
Yeah.
like it's like the talk with his mom starts to
Give him-
get him on that right track,
Give him the courage.
and then he
So-
he does it, and he's like,
I
"Oh
love
fuck,
that
I'm
she-
still worthy." Yeah.
Yeah, I love it because Rocket's like, what are you waiting for? And then because he's never seen him like
And his
get
mom-
it from a really far place. And
It
then
takes
his
a little
mom is
bit,
like,
like-
sometimes it takes a minute. It's like, oh my god, and you hear it, and the room, and then it's like, I'm still worthy. And then he's like, I'll take it. I'm like, look, I got me on their back, like
All right.
shit.
I
And
feel like so I feel like that wasn't even a I'm still worthy thing. I feel like that's a setup. But let's continue. Let's continue.
no,
I
like
mean, it
well,
was, but-
obviously it's
Yeah.
it's a setup.
It is a setup
Yeah,
because we
yeah.
know what happens later, but we don't think about it then.
But-
we just go, okay, he has me on your back. That's cool.
Oh yeah, like because my first thought was like, you're not taking that back because that would fuck with the timeline.
But we know time travel.
Wait,
is
so
that we can
Thor
bring it
2.
back.
So question, Thor 2. Was there ever a point where he couldn't find his hammer? I don't remember.
Maybe there might have been a
I
point
haven't
where
seen
he
the
didn't
movie
have
in so
his hammer,
long.
hammer
Yeah,
on screen.
That's what I'm wondering if like canonically we know why. Well, no, because he would have
But again,
returned. He would have
okay,
returned to the
there-
exact instance that he took it and like.
yes,
given it
but
to him.
by this time travel rules, they could bring it back the same instant he took it away,
Yeah.
so it never left.
Yeah.
So Strix, Thor 2 is one of those movies where I just have it at the back of my mind.
I don't remember Thor
That's-
2 like that. I just remember that.
I don't remember Thor 2 because
I
I
don't even
hated
know
that
if I-
movie so
I'm
much
not
to the
gonna
point
lie.
where it's like
I
I'm
I remember so little about it. I don't even know if I ever watched it. If I'm being honest.
I just
That might be the only one I didn't.
I've seen it once or twice. I just don't literally remember.
That's what I'm saying. I don't
anything.
remember. I don't remember even if I watched.
I just know dark elves.
yeah.
Yeah.
Literally what Thor said in the thing.
Dark Elves. Ooh.
Like that's
Yeah,
about all that I remember about the
literally
movie.
don't
okay,
know
there-
if
there-
I watched that
The
movie.
two things I remember are Jane's dad is going crazy, and they have
do
a
remember
final
that.
fight, and the man, it's a bad movie. It's just.
I'm gonna
okay,
go back and watch it though. I feel like
We can. Down.
all right, so we have the Power Stone. Boom, they port forward. All right, cool. Now we go back to Tony and Iron Man. Their decision is like, hey, we got to go get some shit. Well, how do you go get some shit? You need more Pym particles to come back, and you also need a Tesseract.
Mhm.
Where Captain America is made far enough in the future where Tony's dad and S.H.I.E.L.D. is working with the Tesseract, but
By
also
the way, it was literally
Pym
for
is
like
there.
it was literally for like 1 second. Zola's there. By the way, the guy that's the computer in Civil or Winter Soldier, the Nazi dude that's the part of Hydra with the glasses.
Mhm.
He was in the shot going into the secret area or whatever for like half
Also-
a second. I'm like, why was that even necessary? They brought in so much.
Because they're showing like, hey,
I know, I appreciate. I'm just saying they did so many things that were like completely unnecessary.
they literally hit you with the like, hey yo, like I moved that chair 3 centimeters. Go measure it.
Yeah.
Also, my question is, how early did they start shooting? Like, how early do they shoot the Stanley cameos in these movies? Because
They said that for a while. I forget what the last one is. The last one, I think it might be Spider-Man is the last one they have already ready
I
to go.
think.
okay.
It's either Endgame or Spider-Man is the last.
I think they said this.
Because they specifically said how many was left.
Well, I think they said Endgame might have been the last one, just purely because they didn't know where they're gonna fit him in.
Yeah.
Just for like, 'cause
Yeah, I think it,
like it might be the last. Obviously, it won't be the last one we see. But I think that was the last one that was recorded. I
Yeah.
think I could be wrong about that.
because you just gotta think about like after he's not gonna be guaranteed anything after Spider-Man because it hasn't anything that was filmed within the last year.
Endgame is the final one. Endgame is the final one.
even though technically, to circumvent that, Tony, Stanley did allow himself willingly. He was the one who suggested to get scanned in completely and do all the voices, like Hulk, say all like the Marvel heroes' names, because he's like, I want to be part of the universe forever. So we might see him for like phone calls or something else down the line.
Like yeah.
But
nothing.
but Stanley, when he was still within this world, that would be the last one. Yeah.
But they go there, and we have both these two moments because this isn't just a moment that is or a place that's significant to Steve. It's also a place that ends up being significant for Tony. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Steve's thing is he runs in and he gets to see her.
Yep.
He and her name is jumping out of my mind right now.
Peggy Carter.
And yep, he's like, and it's all because he's trying to hide, and then he realizes it.
By the way, another Easter egg.
Captain Britain.
The that. Well, it was not even just that. It's because for the context, they have to like disguise themselves a little bit to get into the base, and security is very lax. I appreciate it, but the clothes he's wearing has the words Roscoe on it, and that's another character in the comics who took out the mantle of Captain America for a little bit. So it's like it's so again unnecessary because most people aren't looking at his name tag. It doesn't even come up.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by there's so many Easter eggs. The Captain Britain reference is there's something that Peggy is doing when he looks through the window. You actually see a reference to another agent, I believe, and it's like another soldier or subject, and it's the last name of Captain Britain. And they've made other references before.
I have no idea.
Brian Baddock or something like that.
Yeah, Baddock. Yeah, there's a reference of Baddock in the movie.
Yeah, because she was handing out. She was like dealing with like secret files or whatever. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
So.
And Baddock there's something to do with Baddock. Then Tony runs into his dad. Who did Tony say he was? Because I got
Howard Potts. He said he was Howard Potts. He's like, that was like 5-year-old level, like that's like a preschool level naming convention.
What's your name?
Like, my dad's Howard. Oh shit, Potts, because he can't be Stark too. It's like fuck. So he just took Pepper's last name.
So he has a conversation with.
Wait,
wasn't there a joke at some point in the Marvel universe where Tony joked about taking Pepper when letting Pepper run the company, like all the shit? Like I believe he makes a reference at some point to like, well, why don't I just take your last name if we get married?
Yeah, it does reference. Also,
which is what I mean.
We passed on it as well. They explain it differently. Their kid's name is a reference to Tony's cousin in the comics, I think.
Whatever. Fuck?
Which in the movies, that's a reference to Pepper's uncle or cousin, like the crazy uncle cousin. His name is Morgan. So, so they got like a double thing going on. But yeah.
It's sick. So there's a whole conversation again. Another heartwarming moment where it really is like a lost parent and a kid getting a chance to like have that conversation with them. But the difference is in Tony's case, Tony can't reveal who he actually is.
Yeah.
But he kind of has to be referential about like, well, my dad, and like, oh, my dad always said to me this.
Yeah.
Like it's
and
stuff.
That's by the way, the saying he tells his dad is the saying that his dad tells him later on.
Yeah,
yeah, yep.
Like,
and that's what he realizes.
No amount of money will replace like the time with your kids or whatever, time with family. It's like fuck, dude.
And
also,
good.
Just the whole because Hank Pym is there, which they've made that de-aging technology look
the best.
Yes.
I know they have infinite money.
I mean, you saw it with Captain Marvel too.
And they have infinite time and infinite money, so it helps. But goddamn, does it look real? And then of course the easy reference was the Golden Age, like Ant-Man helmet. It looks like garbage. It looks like someone made it in 3 seconds out of tinfoil. But I'm like, that's such a good
That's a movie I want to see.
It's a movie I'm gonna buy.
We know who he is.
It's a movie to buy and just sit down and just go frame by frame with.
Dude, it's so unnecessary because we know who he is, and we've seen him as Ant-Man in the first Ant-Man movie, and it's like we know, but it's like nope. We want to show you the helmet. We want to show you that it was like a thing.
I really hope that's one of the stories that we end up seeing, like seeing a story of like Hank Pym, like in the olden days, in the golden age.
Also, first time, it's when they're done talking, but it's and they get to the limousine or whatever, but it's the
Jarvis.
The show made it to the movies because that's actually Jarvis's actor in the Peggy Carter show or whatever it was. So yeah, that's
also Captain America seeing Peggy Carter and shit.
Yeah.
And I just say like the best part though, like the funny thing is like that whole thing about parents always know, where he's like, have we ever met him?
I love this. I was like, you've met a lot of people. It's like
he seems really familiar, and it's like you kind of just want to be like, you don't know him yet, but you'll get to know him. You'll get to know
I
him.
appreciate the fact that also, even though Jarvis the AI is obviously named after Jarvis the actor, the acronym for Jarvis is so stupid, dude. It's just a rather very intelligent system, and it's like, bruh, it's like you really
you couldn't just leave it at Jarvis, like
yeah, you couldn't leave it at Jarvis the butler. Like I could have believed it. That'd be like if like when Alfred dies, Batman makes an Alfred AI, and it's like
shout out to the
a
Alfred.
lovable a lovable friend, really endearing dude.
That's
That's what I mean. Though. It's like you didn't have to do it, but yeah, the fact that they showed Jarvis and it's the actual actor from Peggy Carter, so like it's payoff for people who watch the show. It's like, dude, again, unnecessary. And that wouldn't have happened
This is
without
the
time
fan
travel.
service movie, dog.
It
Yes.
wouldn't have happened without time travel because he only exists in Agent Carter.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh my god.
We get the
finally
stones
finished Act 2.
and we jump back to the present. And then we have now we know that evil.
Well, also, Gamera got taken by Thanos, and then
Nebula.
it's like Nebula got taken by Thanos, and then the Nebula of the past is like, all right, let me plan to go disguise myself as the new.
By the way, they didn't need to make Thanos more of a badass. You don't need to show him seeing his own death and be like, okay, it happens.
He literally said this to his destiny. Like, what? I would have been shook if I died after doing everything, but that's how.
He's like, he saw his death. He's like, I am.
His daughter's mad, and he's just like, yo, I won. What the fuck you mean? What the fuck you mad, dog? Like, I did it.
He's like, yo, I'm good.
So we pop back, and we know the secret. They know. So they get all the stones together. Iron Man's made a gauntlet for it.
How the fuck does that?
I mean,
So-
it's Iron Man. It's
So no. Okay, so they had to forge that stone in that arm thing in a plant in like a dying star area with like super. It's like Iron Man is like, oh yeah, let me just make a.
I mean,
even though they explain the fact that the stronger you are, the less effects you have from the gauntlet. I also think the gauntlet minimized that because we didn't see like Thanos get burnt after the first one.
Yeah.
Like clearly the first one was freebie. Maybe that was the gauntlet plus his physiology, but the first one was a freebie. It like melted the gauntlet around his arm, but his actual arms like it didn't look that bad. The second time it was a wrap. Like his arm looked like it literally was like 40%
gone.
like smaller. Like it was
just the vein, like literal.
It was a stick.
gone.
It was a stick
It
compared
looked
to.
I was like, God damn, dude. So like it makes perfect sense to
Also,
me that
Alejandro,
you need a glove. You could probably get like a gardening glove to use
We're
the
we're
gauntlet,
talking
but,
about the
you know.
dude. I'm just saying with Tony Stark. We're talking about the dude that was told 2 sentences and figured out time travel.
Dude, I love
Like-
how that reveal. Can we talk about that reveal? By the way, it's still the best. He literally gets gets Tuesday to like make the program right with like the Mobius strip or whatever, and he's like, I'm gonna get a drink, just to let me know because I know you're gonna have to run all the simulations. And she's like, I got it. And he's like, he's like, I know it's gonna probably take.
Like, yeah, he's sitting up here thinking like it'll probably take me a few times, and even he's like, wait, I got it on the first try. The fuck?
I love how shook and he literally falls into the ground. He's like, even though that was comedic, I love how he was honest with Pepper immediately after. He's like, I did it. She's like, what?
Also, the little kid scene is like,
Yeah.
shit.
By the way,
and then the kid's like,
that actor is
Shit.
so good. Yeah, it's like, and the way that little kid extorted him for like popsicles is like that's exactly what little kids fucking do.
I love that kid in that movie.
And Tony was like, your mom came up with the word shit, right? That's her word. So if you say it, that's her fault. So.
I love you 3000.
That's
Also, so did you guys see that picture where it's like the time for all the Marvel movies up to the Spider-Man movie runs up to 3,000 minutes?
I'm not even. Nope. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Nope.
I did see that post. I don't know if it was true though. I should have peeped, but
I'm not. Nah, y'all motherfuckers is going way too. Nah.
that'd
As
be
if
wild.
so, fuck you, Marvel.
That'd be wild.
Fuck you, Marvel.
That would be wild.
But so we get back to the present, and they argue about who's gonna use it. Obviously, Hulk is like, "Hey, I'm the only fucking person that will survive this."
Mm-hmm.
So he does the snap.
But again, to you guys, this thing of like, because I saw people talking about like how the gauntlet had to be made in like a dying star by like super space dwarves, but it's like as soon as he puts on the glove, he starts burning without even snapping. So I think that literally
matters.
says the quality of the glove does matter. Like,
It's the idea like it reshapes to his hand,
Okay.
and like it's one of those things like you see it's the power is so much that as it passes through your body, like he's struggling to get his arm
together.
Like you got to remember, like Thanos was basically walking around, kind of waving his arm like this wasn't shit. Like, yeah, there were a couple times where he was like, he had to put some
again.
force behind it.
I think both his physicality and his gauntlet did matter.
Well, also, we know that Thanos is stronger than Thor, than Hulk.
Of course, but I'm just saying, it's like I saw people talking about it in like multiple videos, like the gauntlet. It's like they made it, but it's like again, you forget that Thanos literally had all the stones at one point and used it together without burning up with any adverse effects. It's like with this one, he started just burning up immediately.
I think the reason it was like his hand got fucked up is because it's not only he's using the stones, but he's using the stones to destroy the stones. I feel like
we're literally destroying parts of the universe.
Power.
We're literally destroying what made the universe.
Now, I'm still making the point, Ike. I don't. From a comic standpoint, I don't think that would work, but not because like I think they would say that, but that's not what he literally would have done. But for the purpose of the movie, well.
Okay.
But yeah, so we get there, and of course he does it.
Hulk wishes back everyone.
The walls open up. We don't know if it's worked. We don't know if it's worked yet.
We know because those trees weren't there before.
Well, yeah, like the trees and stuff, but everybody's still not sure. Like, did it work?
Phone call.
And then Hawkeye gets his wife's phone call, and he goes to pick it up, and like he's struggling. And of course, you fucking movie. Once again, the fucking at this point, Nova brings past Thanos and all them to the future, and he pops up, blows up the fucking
bombs everything, dog. He's like,
yeah, and we have this whole scene now where people are trapped underground, possibly about to die, and
can I just
everybody's
say,
separated.
When those first few missiles hit and Ant-Man gets fucking blown
away,
by the way, there was no audio for that. It was just like, and then it was like, holy shit! Like they got wiped out immediately.
The direction for this movie was fucking They know.
And so this is where we'll say we enter Act 3 of the movie. Endgame.
This is Endgame.
And I'm gonna pick up because we've been going for almost 4 hours. Or for 3.5 hours.
Okay.
But essentially, what happens here is everybody comes out. So Hulk is holding up the building to save Rhodey and Rocket.
Yep.
Hawkeye is some random place with the gauntlet.
Yeah, he's running away from the monsters that Thanos released.
The Chitauri.
Chitauri. Yeah.
Nebula's running around.
Helping. He's trying to help. Nebula's trying to help.
Old Nebula and Gamora have teamed up now to go try to stop past
because Gamora always had those pent up resentments, so it's like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Well, because like Nebula explains and makes sense, and Nebula believes. All right. Then the rest of them are kind of on the upper levels, a little bit more safe, closer to the battlefield.
Yeah.
And Thor eventually comes back and says, so what happens? Gamora goes to get the gauntlet for Thanos. Thanos takes a seat. And it's kind of like, I'm going to wait for this shit to show up and be handed to me. All right. So Hawkeye is hauling ass, doing his thing.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, what's going on? What's going on? Like, nobody knows what the gauntlet is. So Thor comes up and says, yeah, he's just been sitting there. And everybody's like, you see Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor look at each other like,
here we go.
Fuck you mean he's just been sitting there?
Yeah.
And they all like, all right, cool. Like right before the game time, like Captain America's got his shield, Iron Man got the suit.
I love the fact that Thor was like, we're doing this. Then everyone's like, yeah, he's like, as long as we're in agreement. And he fucking pulls both Stormbringer and Mjolnir and gets the fucking like Odin fit. He got the Odin fade, the fucking
and he's got it. So
I love how he doesn't like get skinnier. He's still fat under that suit.
They definitely slimmed them down with the CG because they probably just took off the fat suit and probably added a little bit. But yes, I appreciate it. It's like still got a gut. He didn't just like burn it off with the electricity,
which would have been dope. But so let's cover the other one. Hawkeye's entire thing here is pretty much just imagine Hawkeye running away for a prolonged period of time.
It's so scary. It gave me like aliens vibes.
That was a really good. That was a really good shot.
God,
he like
fuck
shot
that scene.
Like,
and
fuck that scene.
He does fuck up. He does fuck up and give the gauntlet to Gamora, but immediately we have the reveal that it's evil Gamora
or Nebula.
Nebula. We get the showdown, and then we get the first the biggest thing that people are calling out in terms of time travel BS, where future Nebula kills past Nebula, but really past Nebula can only exist in the future because past Nebula has gone to the future, come back. Like, past Nebula cannot be there to die unless future Nebula exists.
It's not the perfect past because it's a different timeline. You know, so.
But I'm just like, essentially, it would be a paradox, not that they both exist, but that she is even able to be there in the first place.
Also, old past Gamora is now in the future or the present.
Yeah. So when people are asking, well, a soul for a soul, Gamora is not getting. This is before Gamora became the Soul Stone. So technically, while that Soul Stone still exists, no, it doesn't exist because Thanos made it erase it. It doesn't. It's like you can't fail something or can't do something that hasn't existed yet. They went before the event happened. So that's how she's here.
Yes.
And yes, it's confirmed that she is still in modern day.
Yes, because they're looking for her. Yes.
So there's that one. That's one storyline. The little fight between Gamora and all that like, it was cool. Nebula shooting herself was kind of like,
that was jarring for a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
Because you're like, I think everybody was kind of like, wait, isn't she gonna die?
I thought they were gonna do the twist, dude, about the fucking like the reversal thing. Like we didn't. I was like, don't do this to me. Don't do it.
And then I'm trying to think what next. All right. So then we can. Iron Man and the other three are just under the building, whereas Ant-Man's trying to save him.
Yep.
Strix, by the way, that was a reference to Secret Wars when Hulk holds the fucking mountain dog.
Yeah.
When he's holding up the entire building.
I had to do it honestly because, like, I had to go back and watch it because there's no way during watching the movie I would catch every one of those references.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so good.
Because it's so many small things constantly. But we get back out to the battle. What?
The fight.
All right. They hold their own initially. Thanos got his like dual blade. My man ready to go.
The only thing people called that scene out was the fact that Stormbringer Yarnbjorn, even though it's Yarnbjorn, but they call Stormbringer in the movie, was able to go through the entire might of the Infinity Gauntlet with all the stones, but now it's like Thanos with no stones is still strong. I just see it as
that's because Thor is fat and out of practice.
Yeah, I just say Thor. It's been 5 years. A lot of the Avengers have been out of practice, and I'm just like, I don't have to believe that hard for it to not. Like,
I mean, you can argue this is prime Thanos. This is Thanos.
Yeah.
When he is 100%, everybody's afraid of his name.
Thor doesn't have that Asgardian core strength anymore. He doesn't got that 8-pack that makes all the audience swoon every time. He didn't take, the with the V cut. It's like that V cut helps, dog.
And we get a moment where they're fighting. And then they're not winning anymore.
Okay, we're gonna get there. I want to do another reference to the first fucking Avengers, where Tony gets all his guns out and he goes, "Hit me, Thor!" And Thor fucking hits both together and shoots lightning back into him to give him like over boost, like fucking energy, and he just shoots. And it's like that was the callback to Avengers 1 when Thor hits him with a bunch of electricity and he has like 300% energy and hits him back with like the unibeam. And it's like, fuck, dude, I didn't even think about that. I forgot that was even a thing.
I forgot about that too.
And also, like, because like he and Iron Man always do it usually with the whole like, off the shield.
Yes.
And it's like, okay. And then we get to so I'm not. This is a moment that I feel like
this got cheers, dog.
So I'm gonna take y'all back.
Okay.
To Avengers 2, Age of Ultron.
Yes.
Yeah. The best scene.
And it's a scene that all of us were waiting for because we knew it was kind of coming.
Yes, where they're all
and everybody's trying to pick up the hammer, and you just see it inch.
You get the squeak.
And
too.
Thor gets this look on his face at the time of like, the fuck.
Yeah.
So,
here's my theory. Captain America could have done it at that exact time, but he realized he was like, I'm gonna save face. I'm gonna make Thor save face, and like. I'm not actually gonna.
So the rumor about why he couldn't do it is because until Civil War, he never told Tony that he's the reason his dad died.
He felt guilty. Yeah.
Okay.
That was the thing that was tarnishing like
he thought he was lying to his friend. Yeah.
Yeah. He personally was making like because that's the whole thing about Thor's hammer. Thor can be as worthy if Thor believes he's worthy. 9 times out of 10 is Thor being like, oh, I'm not worthy.
It's like how come Thor can drink and be an asshole and still be worthy? It's like he's being honest though. Yeah. Being worthy doesn't mean worthy to a certain necessarily a standard. I believe it's just the person.
And this movie,
their character, you know.
And this movie is wrapping up all the character arcs.
Yeah.
And so he picks up the hammer, and the jokes have been out there. he pulled off some combos Thor ain't even know about, my dude.
Yeah.
My man was like boom, like Thor was just hitting you with the 1-2. He was like, yo, 1-2 special cancel, boom, got you with the tick throw. Like I'm like, Thor, where are you?
Yo, he did OTG combos. He knocked him on his ass. Did the lightning from the ground up. Like Thanos was stunned. He put the hammer in there and slammed it. That was an OTG combo, dog. I'm mad. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is fucking trash or isn't supported because we could have had that as a new super or a new team combo, something like.
And as Alejandro said, like this was one of the moments where like. This is I think that first moment where people really started cheering. Like, yeah, fuck yeah, yeah. And Thor even comes in like, I knew it. I'm like,
I'm glad he was hyped too. He was like, hell yeah. He's like, let's go.
And then the callback to the comic, even with all that though, callback to the comics, where eventually Iron Man's put on the defensive and his shield is broken.
And it breaks the exact same way as Tony's vision.
Yes.
Oh my god.
And we have a moment where it still looks like everybody's down for the count. It's not.
Can we
here.
talk about that shot? I need that one shot. Everybody knows what I'm talking about as a fucking wallpaper.
Like little Captain America, and then
Thor. With the sun behind him, and he's looking at him, and you literally everyone's seen the trailer shot of when he pulls his shield together, but in the movie, his like armor is like fucking slashed. Like you see, it's like fucking bone. It's like fuck, dude, that's a deep ass cut. And he's like, nope, I'm Captain America.
And he stands up, and it's all this
Strix.
like this moment of like,
hey Strix,
what?
To your left,
dude.
I'm just saying, like it's the because the voice is what's perfect, like. Because it's Falcon.
Because it's crackling. It's crap. You hear me, and then you hear Sam, and it's like, oh, because you forgot about the snap. Forgot. The movie does such a good job because literally like 5 seconds after Hulk snaps, the missiles come down.
Yeah, and you're like, it goes from like this happy moment to like, shit.
Yeah, you forgot.
And for those that don't know, going back to what I referenced earlier. The clip is out there. Like Captain America and Sam are always running, and the joke is always that Captain America, because he's a superstar, always laps Sam. Yeah. And so they're running by, and he always says,
"On your left." And that's all you hear.
On your left.
Like, okay, on your left. I know, dude. You have to keep saying it. I know. Like,
and don't say it. And he says that to Captain America, and as that happens, because this is that moment. This is that moment where Captain America's and he sees essentially the army in front of him.
Oh, so good.
And you see. Portals opening up, and all the different armies from all the different times and places from around the universe are just like, hey.
What's that meme from that with the WWE dude who's like getting like and he's like one portal was like
the portal. And then he falls back in his chair. He's like, wow.
And Black Panther didn't come out.
Dude, okay, you know. Oh my god, don't say that. Dude. You know who the superstars are in this current generation. When I was at the theater, both times I watched it, Black Panther and Spider-Man come out, both of those characters instantly got.
Oh no, but like that's what I'm like. For my theater, the end of this movie was literally clapping and people on the verge of fucking tears, like to the point where you could hear the like throughout the theater. And I was sitting up there, I was like. Because like, I was good the entire movie. We'll talk about the one thing that fucked me up. Fucking trash ass. Fucking people. And yeah, but they were clapping. Like he came out, like everybody cheering. Everybody goes in, and then they recreated that scene where they're running into battle, where it's just Black Panther and Cap out in front.
Yep.
And everybody else coming.
Yeah.
And boom, they crash, and the fight's going on. And, like, I cannot give you, like, speak how well this fight is done here.
So Doctor Strange, is that everyone? Is like,
you wanted more? So there's more Easter eggs. Most people missed it, but Howard the Duck is in there. He is in there fighting.
I did not see that. My friend saw that, and I did not see that.
So Pepper Potts with the armor. That's known as Rescue in the comics.
We will talk about that.
I want to say one thing. My favorite thing. They did it the exact way I love it in anime, video games, whatever. is fucking Pepper comes in and she starts blasting away, and then Tony comes in behind her, and they do the fucking like Marvel combo, and they both do the fucking unibeam while the camera spins. And I don't care. I got so fucking hard. I was like, that's like my aesthetic. That my aesthetic is doing that whole 360 camera shot.
Oh, well, because when they did it in the first Avengers, it was like it's just continuous shot of just and just capturing everybody doing their thing.
No.
And that was the shot. Dog. Because they fucked us at the end of Age of Ultron. And they finally gave it to us. And it finally felt like a moment of like
when Thor screamed after he said that, and like Black Panther and everybody started screaming, my whole theater started screaming. Like, dude, I don't know what's it about. I imagine because they haven't said it in literally 10 years, but just everybody knows, even people who aren't comic book nerds know about Avengers Assemble. They've heard it here somewhere. And when they said it, it's literally like the pre-game football, like last minute, last quarter, last play of the game, and it's like
the call.
It's the last hike of the game, and everyone gets fucking like juiced up, super sent.
Yep.
Dog, I live for these fucking moments, dog. Literally, I don't care. I live for actual, like, not artificial hype like this, where everybody in the group, literally the spirit bomb. Everyone's like, "Give me your energy," and everybody got behind it. And I was like, "Let's fucking go."
So the fight is amazing. Like that fight is so good. But moments to highlight. So
yes. Okay.
How they're gonna do different things. So Ant-Man and Wasp are trying to activate the car.
Yep.
Because that's a different portal they have as a backup.
The scene where Spider-Man he's about to get fucked up, and then all the women like.
So
that's a reference.
I want to get this. All right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So boom, Hawkeye gets the gauntlet back and has been running this entire time, which I give him credit. He is the normal dude running, but in literally a war zone of like gods, and he's just like fuck.
And then Black Panther goes up to says, "Clint, give it to me," and that, like,
I wanted it to dog.
I know, because that would have been a reference.
If I
love that, but look, I love that moment because that's a callback to when Hawkeye introduced himself to Black Panther in Civil War, and he goes, "I don't think we've met. I'm Clint," and he's like, "I don't care." And now, like, Black Panther's like, "Dude, I know you by name. Give it to me. We can do this together."
But I want to say this. But all right, so chat. The reason why at that moment. Marvel. Marvel.
I'm the king.
I need Fantastic Four.
You want the king of the undead, right?
I want King fucking Doom, because I want Panther to have his fucking moment where he just fucking shows up with that fucking.
I have the power of the world.
And my man is running though, like Black Panther's just.
Dude, I love
dipping, ducking.
I love the literal gauntlet, right? And then he gets caught by Ebony Maw. And then he like passes it to
and like and then that's when you first really see Spider-Man, where everybody starts clapping when you see him just sweep.
Yep.
And then dude, I love the fact that he's like, "I don't care if I kill y'all, fuck y'all." And you have to, because they consistently established that those Outriders, even if you like cut off their arms and legs, they still don't die. So like you gotta like actually kill them super hard. Yeah. So the fact that the instant kill happened.
And now Thanos is a bitch.
Because
my man, he calls the ship and like, "Yo, fire everything," but our troops.
No.
I don't give a fuck. Because the reason I say that, there's a specific reason. Because after this starts is when Captain Marvel finally gets back to Earth, takes out the ship. Spider-Man's running with the gun.
That was such a cool scene.
Because everybody was like, "Yo, what are they shooting at?" Because all the guns stopped shooting at the ground and started shooting.
And they're like, we have a high moving target from high orbit. It's like, what? It's like,
boom,
like, bro. And that was literally the Goku moment. Yeah. That was like we have a high energy.
In case you thought that, anybody that doubted how strong she was,
she's fucking OP. Shit.
And so it's at that moment where Spider-Man has the gauntlet, and they're like, "Yo, get it to the fucking truck."
Yep.
And he's like, "Okay," and he's like, "How?" And like, yo. Like, I know people were gonna be mad about that moment when I saw it, but I was like, it's like one of the high points of when all the women just show up and they're like.
But okay.
We got you.
Because I knew it was gonna. Even in reviews, people said that. But and even though it can feel forced, I know what they're going for because they also did it in Infinity War. And the reason why they did that, people are like, oh, why is it an all-women's team? It's because that's the A-Force.
Yeah.
That's literally in the comics. A-Force is nothing but female Avengers. So
And
it's like,
it's like say what you want about it being forced. That scene was cool.
No, it
dude,
was.
I don't give a
sick.
fuck. That was so sick.
Yeah.
I don't give a damn.
They all came in and they were just fucking shit up. They like if we're talking football references, they gave my man a clear field. Between Valkyrie, Captain Marvel, Rescue,
Scarlet Witch.
All right, and Spider-Man's still running through doing her thing. Now Scarlet Witch runs up to Thanos.
Oh my god.
And when it's a set of lines that's just perfect.
You took everything.
I don't even know you.
You will.
And then she just hits the same thing that happened like when he ran into her in Infinity War, but this time she's not holding. Like this is her full on like
maxed out.
Let's go. Not like you can.
It's like if you doubted Scarlet Witch had the strength
She's
before.
she's strong as shit.
And I do want to clarify with that. Thanos had to cheat to survive.
Yeah,
he was done.
No, Thanos was dead. No,
if it was a 1v1, Scarlet Witch won.
Yeah.
Yep.
100%. That was it.
Yo, Thanos was like, "What the fuck?
I love the fact that when he was raining the missiles, all the magic users put up shields up to help to protect.
I mean, there's so many small things. Like we didn't even talk when Spider-Man was running, and he's getting swarmed, and then I think Iron Man is the one that like activate Killer Spider initially. I can't remember exactly what it says. And you just see the legs just start just literally just stabbing these things instantly, and you're like, he's just standing here just like this, and the legs are just like the legs are just bopping everybody.
I'm glad Captain Marvel came because I was about to cry when Thanos had rained fire and fucking Rocket protected Groot from the fucking blast. And he started screaming like, ah! I was like, I'm like, don't do this to me. Don't fucking let my boy die. Trying to protect.
And
Groot.
but that's the best thing is because it showed all of them that even the characters that didn't care.
Yeah.
This was their chance. Like they were like, not again, not fucking again.
Yeah, of course they care. You know,
we get to the and we're gonna start to wrap it up, but everything happens. The fight happens. Thanos gets the gauntlet back.
Yes, he does.
No. That fight with Captain Marvel and Thanos.
Yeah. Oh.
Yo, that one hit proved how strong she was. He has the Infinity Gauntlet, and she catches him before he snaps.
Yep.
And she starts literally bending his fingers back. And he starts to fall, and he hit butts her, and nothing, no cell.
She just looks at him like
no cell. And she just starts blasting his ass, and he just starts being over. He
had to take one of the stones. Yeah.
Well, in this universe, it's established that to use the gauntlet, you have to close your hand. So he literally rips the power stone and then punches the fuck out of her, and it's like, okay, dude, that was ridiculous.
And he puts it back. Iron Man jumps up to stop him from snapping.
No. Before that,
the best scene.
Iron Man looked at Doctor Strange, and he's
because before that point,
he said, "I can't tell you."
Yeah, I can't tell you. Like, I hope you're right. And he's like, and by the way, I love attention to detail. By the way, I know it's probably for cinematic flair, but it shows that Doctor Strange is putting all his magic into holding the dam or whatever because his hands was shaking. Because remember, his hands shake when he can't put magic on them to keep him still. So the fact that he's shaking and just puts this like this, and I'm like, fuck, dude, don't do this to me.
And so we have the reference to 1, 1, 1. He jumps up, and there's this moment where Thanos wins, knocks him back.
I am inevitable,
and snaps,
and just nothing.
And you look, and this is where I talk to that liquid metal, whatever.
It's his
same
tech.
Thing of his suit.
It's his tech. It's
he
his
has
tech.
them.
I was gonna say that's not even an argument because that's his exact same tech.
But no, I'm not even that's what's so badass.
It's the nanotech.
It's so perfect that at the end of the day, even after trusting everybody, Tony Stark is like, I always put in a failsafe.
Also,
I always have one more.
By the way, can we see the parallels? Is that what destroyed the universe was the gauntlet on the left hand, and what saved the universe was the gauntlet on the right hand? It's completely the opposite.
You're right.
The gauntlet they made was purposely on the right hand.
It's stuff like that. That's what I mean. It's those details, and so
little details that go a long way.
And the moment that is ultimately, I think for all fans, become the moment where you have to just tear up.
Because that line, by the way, was how the first Iron Man movie ended.
And that was a complete. And for those who know, that was completely improv at the time.
Yes, it was improv.
And so like he gets the gauntlet, and he's like, "I'm inevitable," and he just looks up. I am Iron Man, and snaps.
And it's the same effect.
And everybody Thanos, he gets rid of Thanos and all his forces. Like that's
Thanos accepts it, but dude, it's still so consistent with Thanos' character that he's like,
okay, you beat me.
He sits down. When he accomplishes goals, he sits down. When he fails, he sits down and just contemplates.
Like his idea is like when the game is over, the game is over. He's not.
Yeah, ain't no reason to be salty about
the
it.
opposite of like what all they did was when he realized that he lost. He's like, well, I lost.
And by the way, I love, because since we're here, I love.
Also,
we
can someone explain the Iron Man 1 reference? Because remember, like what Iron Man or Doctor Strange tells Iron Man is there's one future where they win out of 3 million, whatever, blah 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 blah. And so the one was when he gets there is Iron Man asks him like, "Is this the one?" And he says, "I can't. If I tell you, it won't happen."
Yeah.
And so at the very end, that communication is kind of like signaling to Iron Man, like, one, because the idea that was presented is that if you tell Tony Stark ahead of time, like, hey, you have to die for us to win.
What I understood when he put that one up was the deciding factor for every other timeline. Was that in other timelines, Tony wasn't able to get to Thanos and take the stones back. And he's like, this is where you need to do it right now. That's how I understood it.
Like, everything else is played out perfectly, and you, like, it's on you now. Like, the one is, like...
That one in gajillion chance is you.
And he goes and does it and snaps.
I also appreciate the fact, because I alluded to earlier with the whole 50% thing with Thanos, was like, okay, so we allude to, like, because you guys have memories of when, what the world was like before I deleted half the universe, I'm going to start from scratch, because now they won't know any better. And Captain's like, so you're going to make a world from blood. And he's like, they won't know it. And it's like, fuck, dude. He's so consistent.
It's the idea that, like, Thanos' idea of, like, being indiscriminate about it is great, but it doesn't work.
It doesn't, because you see the flaw immediately. But I appreciate that he recognized the flaw, though. It's not that he's like
Thanos' approach, what you're getting at, Shaz, is
it's like
he doesn't change his approach. He's just making the point of, like, look, this is my end goal. If I see a flaw, I'll fix it.
And it's crazy because he recognized the fact that even though I did what I thought was perfect, it's flawed because you guys still remember what the world used to be like, even though I've given you so much, and you guys are too stupid to see that. And it's like, fuck, dude, that's so... God damn it.
And so the last bit of this movie is the war's over. Life is returning to normal.
He doesn't say anything, by the way. His literal last line is, I am Iron Man. Not including the weird hologram thing. I am Iron Man is the last thing he says as Iron Man in the MCU. And Rhodey comes... I appreciate the fact that Rhodey comes up to this first, and he's like... And then Peter comes up. He's like, "It's the complete opposite of Peter and Tony from last time."
He's like,
"We did it." He's like, "We did it. Like, it's okay now. You can stop. Like pretending to die." And then Pepper had to do the mom thing of like, it's. And then the fact that she tells him like,
this makes me want to cry right now. I'm just gonna say that.
The fact that Pepper tells him that it's okay. You can rest now because he's literally been working towards this for the last 10 years.
I think,
and also Pepper says is like, "We'll be fine," as alluding to like Iron Man is always saying, "We'll be fine. We'll be fine."
I'm going to fucking cry,
like,
dude.
That was the one moment in the movie where, like, at that point, like, I couldn't. Like, the other stuff, it was kind of like Black Widow. I wasn't crying personally because it was like. It's like the soldier thing. Like she was finishing the mission, but like at Tony's thing is like that feeling of like Tony was always trying to. Tony was trying to be the hero. He wanted to save everybody,
also,
and he managed to do it.
Yeah, like literally the beginning
and
he can rest like because as much as we don't like people don't give Tony Stark that credit. He won't sleep. He won't he's constantly working. For that better.
Even though other characters have lost a lot in the MCU unwillingly, like, a Captain with the Bucky when he thought he was dead, and of course Peggy, Thor with his entire race and his family, but like Tony willingly sacrificed a lot. He willingly sacrificed a lot of money to keep the Avengers up when S.H.I.E.L.D. was down. That's the only reason why they were still around. He made tons of armors. He made tons of things to help the world with his money. He sacrificed tons of sleep.
Spider-Man doesn't exist.
he gave the suit to Spider-Man. He financed everybody. He sacrificed his sleep, his time with Pepper consistently. He sacrificed a chance
and-
at being a family man.
And that's I want to make a point. Like he finally had his, like, as much as I was joking about the happy end, the good end. Like that movie, the movie ends with him saying like to me the hero thing. Like I have to do what's right.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks,
Even if it means people around me suffer.
but like
Yeah.
he kind of like, and that's why I think it is so important that Pepper comes up and, like you were saying, Alejandro says it's fine, we'll be all right. It's just it's like letting him know finally, like,
Well, at this point with Pepper's character, because it's not like they've only known each other a very little short amount of time. She's married to him and had a kid. Like she clearly understands him. So like it wouldn't make sense for her as a character in the movie to be like, I can't believe you would do this, or try to put the world above
Well,
everybody else. Like she
I think-
acknowledges literally before the whole time heist thing that like I can't stop you when you want to. You know.
that's the thing. Like Pepper is the one. Like Pepper, the joke is always Pepper is the one exception to the
the
like
rule,
the way he acts.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is like she also knows him well enough. The reason why she's the exception is she knows when there's no point to try. When there's just the like,
She's like, just
he's
do
gonna
it.
do it.
Just help him. Yeah.
and
Dude,
and the idea is then like we end like with
the funeral scene, dude.
with the funeral, and you see everybody there from.
In order of importance, by the way, it was Pepper and Morgan at first, and then it was like Happy and Rhodey, and then it was like Cap, and then Thor and everybody else. Like obviously Black, very nice attire, very nice one shot, like just slow, like
And it's just slowly like all the people that are there, and the world like is recognizing as well what he's done.
Mhm. And again,
And the kid
I
from Iron Man 3.
yeah,
it's-
and, yeah, and even Nick Fury's there, but then he gets another mission. He's like, my job's not done. He has to go again.
Yeah,
And I appreciate the fact that what's it, Scarlet Witch and Hawkeye talk about like the fact that like I wish, you know, more people would mourn for like Black Widow, because like that's probably just like in universe thing as well. Like I'm sure people are like, oh man, Iron Man got a whole ass fucking funeral, but Black Widow, it's like I'm sure Black Widow had a funeral. It's just that's what we saw.
I just also think that Black Widow's statement, like her family mourned her. Black Widow was never the like Iron Man. As again, Iron Man says it at a press conference. Iron Man is
Iron
the
Man, yeah.
de facto superhero of the world.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's who number one. So, but I appreciate the fact that they acknowledged it. Like even Scarlet Witch is like, I know, like
Right.
did they know that we miss them and we love them, and what they did was like we can never run it back. Like we can't do anything because we've established that people with Gamora, even though Gamora's the past Gamora, anybody that sacrifices a soul stone cannot be brought back.
So it has to be a soul for a soul.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
why.
Now I want to, and then
Wait,
like the small
quick question.
detail at the funeral,
Yep.
they put the little plaque that says "Proof Tony Stark has a heart" on the thing.
Yeah.
Which is throwback again to Iron Man 1.
Iron Man 1.
So
Hey, you guys want a cheeseburger?
oh, that killed me.
Like, hey, do you want? What do you
1
want?
second.
I'll
Okay.
get you all the cheeseburgers that you want. Like that scene in of itself is just
That
sad
the reference,
because
yep.
it's so much of a. Oh no! Because you know what the reference is, right?
Yeah, because as soon as he came back from
Iron Man 1,
being-
yeah, he wants a cheeseburger.
Iron Man 1, he was captured. The first thing he wants back is like, oh, I just want a cheeseburger, man.
And it's
I remember. I literally rewatched the movie recently, so.
and it's it's ridiculous. Like being honest, it's
Hmm.
ridiculous where we. Like it's so hard for me to talk because legitimately it's a sad moment.
It is.
It is the one moment that the more like you look at it and there isn't like an upside, there isn't a spin to it. There's just
I was literally walking out of the theater with the first time with my cousin and the second time with my mom, and every single time I walked out with the theater with those guys, they were still recovering. They were still like my mom was still wiping her tears when she saw us like, say what you want. It's Iron Man.
I love you.
He's gone.
3000.
The
Hit
fact that the
message to his
cheeseburger
kid.
reference is back to, I don't know if you guys talk about it, but
Iron
the
Man.
fact
Yeah.
that that's the first thing he wanted.
Once.
He literally got a Burger King cheeseburger. He's like, that's why. He's like, I want a burger, an American greasy ass fast food burger.
Yep.
Um,
And like Happy is gonna take the best care of that girl. Like you fuck with Happy and that girl, he's just a regular dude, but he's gonna beat your fucking ass.
Yo.
Like on God.
I mean, the
Are you
message,
kidding me?
like, I think the thing that broke me at the end of the day, what I remember was, like,
Mhm.
I was good. I wasn't really crying. I wasn't really
Yeah.
crying. But the message to his kid, when you realize the message wasn't the one you heard to Pepper earlier, but
Yeah.
right before the mission, the one that he made for his kid.
Yep.
And it was just like, fuck.
I appreciate how they treated the daughter as well at the funeral, like when they're talking to her, because it's already hard to direct the child, but she looks like she's only like 6 or 7 at most.
Yep.
So it's like it's already hard to try to tell a kid to cry on command, do all this stuff. But I appreciate the fact how they had Happy and her talk to her, because she doesn't understand that her father is gone forever now. You know what I mean? Like she doesn't.
No, I
It's
think
the
she
kid
understands.
No, but
Well,
I
it's
think
not-
it's the kid thing of, like,
Yeah, it's just like, oh, okay, he's gone. Like he
I
went
don't-
to the store or something.
it's
like,
really hard for me to explain, but, like, I've been
Strix knows
to
what I'm saying,
I've been
yeah.
to enough funerals where there are, like,
Yeah,
really small
same.
kids of whether
Same.
parents, grandparents, and a lot of times, like,
They'll still be
the
playing
most-
with their toys and they don't understand.
the most they
it just doesn't
understand
sit.
is, like, the people
Yeah.
around them are really sad.
Yeah, and they feel and they the kids
They
are
get
smart,
the
so
sadness, but
yeah, they get sad because other people around them are sad, but they don't understand what it means for that person to be gone out of
it's
their lives.
the best way I can explain it is, like, it's very, like, I've been to a bunch of funerals, even up until 2014, which would make me 20. Going to my own grandmother's funeral is such a different experience for me. Like, when you get that close to you, but as a kid, like, you don't get hit that same way.
Yeah,
Like as a kid, it's you're dressed up, you're there, you're
going somewhere you don't even care about, people you've never seen.
and
you're
in
like,
in
why
her
am I even
case,
bothered?
she might just know that, like, her dad was in the casket and like, the kid did a really good job of both playing it as, like,
That's a good answer.
she's
That was a
really
good answer.
sad.
Because
But-
I've been to funerals as well, and I think Strix can attest. Like right after, it's like, what do you want? It's like, I want to eat. I'm tired. My legs
Yeah.
hurt. It's like, yep, that's what kids do. It's like,
I think the MCU has consistently had the best kid actors. Iron Man 3, Ant-Man
yeah, I
with
guess
the
so,
daughter.
Yeah.
This
I would
kid
say
right
so.
here, they have really
Yeah,
good kid
I
actors
would say so.
in these movies.
So-
Did y'all talk about the cap yet? Or
And so
okay.
after all the funeral
Not yet.
ends, we still have a little bit of closure because the gauntlet's still there. And again, it is clarified. Hulk tried to bring Black Widow back and it didn't work. That was one of those things.
He's
that
like, he said he really tried,
Sub
like
U3000.
really hard, and he's like, I couldn't do it. That's so good. Yeah, he tried really hard and he couldn't do it. It doesn't work. She's part of the Soul Stone, so. Which, by the way, you think they're gonna ever do Soul World? Like the whole?
no, I think the fact that they did not show, the fact that they didn't show, like, her there, because they showed Gamora. They showed little girl Gamora when Thanos and
Oh
Infinity
yeah, you're right.
They
Yes.
never showed her whatever
That's true.
Hawkeye saw when he went
Maybe
to that world.
maybe just didn't want a child actor that wouldn't be consistent. I don't know, because I mean that child actor was just a makeup anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter.
Also by this point, the movie's already 3 hours.
Yeah,
I feel
I'm
like
sure.
adding
I'm
any more.
sure people want to talk about the like Snyder cut or whatever, but I could see this movie being easily 4 hours on the director's cut.
They talk about, like, how they originally shot so much stuff and they cut it down for 3 years, and, like, the last year really was just them cutting, like,
Yeah.
minutes.
I think
at a
they said
time.
between Infinity War and Endgame, they said it was like 70 hours or something like that to cut down. Tried to
Yeah.
at most. Like
There's-
they're like
there's
it's
plenty
only
of
part.
footage.
There's so much
Um,
stuff that they cut out, and even in a lot of the transitions in the movie, you can tell that scene was cut for
Mhm.
certain
Um,
things.
And so the last scene talks about them returning the stones, and who better to do it than Cap?
Yeah.
And so
Makes
he gets
sense.
there, and it's him, Hulk, Bucky,
Bucky.
and
Bucky.
Falcon.
Falcon.
And they're like,
My
all
boy
right,
Sam.
you'll be back in 5 seconds.
And what he says to Bucky is the same thing Bucky says to him in or that's the opposite.
Don't be a idiot.
Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Yeah, don't
Yeah.
do anything I wouldn't. It's like, how could I? You're taking all the stupid with you. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he gets in there, and you hear a report, and, like, in the theater, like, the moment it happened, you knew, like, everybody
He knew he wasn't coming back.
Yeah,
He
and,
knew he
like,
wasn't coming back.
and, like, you're waiting, and they even do it in the movie. 2, 3, 4,
whoosh, and then nothing happens. It's like, did we miss it? He's like, did we miss? He's like, nope. He actually went past. He's like, that doesn't make sense.
And then, like after it all happens, eventually they look over into a bench.
Yep.
Sitting there is a guy sitting there, and they tell Falcon to head on over and talk, and you see it's old Steve.
Old man Cap.
It's he's sitting
Just
there,
like the comics. Fuck.
he's sitting there, and like everybody understands, because in Cap's own way, it's the same thing that happened with Tony, where Tony finally gets the rest. Cap finally got his dance.
Cap finally, he only wanted one thing the entire MCU. He just wanted to have that's literally part of his whole character.
And let's talk about the beginning of the movie when the argument happens. They're making the point, and the point about Captain America, and Tony even makes it, is like, you won't let go. You are stuck in the past. And literally, that's his way of saying, like, yeah, I am.
Yeah, and also he references Tony. He's like, Tony moved on with got a family. He's like, maybe I could do something. And also, by the way, I feel bad because it's a different timeline, time travel shenanigans. But some poor dude in the 40s got cut by Captain America. That's crazy. That's crazy. Because
here's my thing. I have a theory about this.
I know.
Let's.
I know.
So people are talking about, like, well, because of different timeline, blah blah blah. I'm ignoring all that.
Yes.
If you know every instance where you yourself see Peggy, all you have to ensure is that past you doesn't see you.
So the person she married was him, but Peggy couldn't tell future Cap that was their kids and stuff. Yes, I understand. So I'm just saying, I love the fact that was people's first. You're right. I'm 100% agreeing with you, and that's what I believe.
They're like, Cap cut somebody. I'm like, Cap is fair. Like Cap had like 90 years to wait. Fuck that.
You got cut by somebody that's 170 years old.
And that's where the timeline, like,
yes,
like for people to understand very simply, like, the way the timeline works is all the stuff you're thinking about with Cap. It's rightful because Cap, without the original timeline, Cap cannot go back and change.
And people have said that Cap he could use the Mind Stone to either erase her memories or be like, whenever you see me in the future, you can't talk about who you're married to. Yeah. And considering it's Captain America, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be that hard to hide information about himself. Well,
I think that's one of those things where, like, if he tells, like, you tell the person you love the story, and then the two, like, they come to that understanding.
And she has no reason
for
to
her, even if she was talking to the real Captain, she's like, no, things work out, things are great, and she's sitting here smiling. And Cap in the past might be like, fuck, he's really happy.
Obviously, when they filmed those scenes, they didn't think about that. But
it worked.
If they really thought about, like, how we're gonna end Endgame that long ago, like with One Piece, where they're like, yeah, I already know the ending. It's like, you can set up, when you know how something's gonna end, you can set up so many things around it. So, I want to give them credit where it's due, but I don't think they thought that far, if I'm being honest. Because the whole like Agent Carter, the other one, the young one, is
like what I'm really getting at though is,
I feel bad about
somebody in chat, like, why would you have to hide anything, a different version? You can't let your past self see you.
Yeah, you can't, because it would change. It would change. Like, also, again, I felt bad because she was her niece.
Oh yeah, that's what people were saying, was like, he kissed his own niece. Like, people we're not gonna talk about that. People are going like, it wasn't his niece when he, or like, however you want to phrase it.
Yeah,
of course,
fine.
It wasn't, because it's a different person, right?
Also, he didn't know, so stop.
Yeah, it's a different. It's the same way Nebula from the past, and Nebula from the present are two completely different people. Yeah. They're the same person from their respective timelines, but when you compare them, they're not the same at all. Their experiences are completely different. Yeah, that,
but
and
past
of course,
stuff is frozen in ice. I'm saying if he, because in the future, doesn't he go to see Peggy? He doesn't actually talk to her.
Yeah, he.
Or am I thinking of the comics? I could probably be thinking of a comic.
There's a lot of things that we could infer, and of course, when different timeline, different changes, different things. But
like, I know she dies.
Yeah, I appreciate the fact that Falcon was chosen as Captain America with the restored shield, and there's enough even though most people, I think in the audience, people who watched it bought it, I think they even went the extra step to make sure people weren't awkward, like, oh, just because he's so and so, he got it. Aside from in the comics that Falcon becomes Captain America, which is true, when he gets handed the shield, and then Falcon's like, Captain's like, how does it feel? And Falcon's like, it feels like it belongs to somebody else, and he's like, nope, it's yours. And I appreciate it because I think what we're talking about with the whole Captain America being guilty and not being able to wield Mjolnir, I think Bucky was like, I literally was a KGB sleeper agent.
Yeah, Bucky wasn't
like not like I was a Nazi sleeper agent. I don't think I could represent and be Captain America.
Yeah.
And I killed one of my best friends' parents. I've killed countless amount of people. I've assassinated tons of important figureheads around the world.
But he's so much baggage personally.
Yeah, he can't. It makes sense to me, especially with what we've seen from Civil War and Winter Soldier, that there's no way he could, in good conscience, be called Captain America.
It's like the Iron Man, Spider-Man thing. It's like the new blood.
Before today's podcast, I read something that also almost made me cry throughout the situation. Was he didn't know. Anthony Mackie didn't know about the scene.
Yes, he didn't.
And
know.
it was, and
Yeah,
he came in, and Chris Evans came in and is like, "Hey, so what do you think about the thing?" And he's like, "What thing?" And Chris Evans runs out and gets it, and that's his first moment of finding out that he gets the shield. And they were like, they went through and they cried, and I was like sitting up here, I'm like literally the actors had that moment of the two of them being like, where he realizes like, I'm Captain America now.
The only person that knew most of it was Doctor Strange, only because he was part of so much of it.
Yeah.
But most actors didn't know what they were acting about, like the context. Same thing with Spider-Man. Like
the actors, most of the actors didn't know what was going on.
Like Spider-Man, pretty sure didn't know that Tony dies because because Tom Holland is notorious for spoiling so much.
Yep.
But like that's why I'm sure there were parts where he learned it, but he's like, oh shit.
And there were other stuff. Like, who was it? One of the actors recently released a bunch of behind-the-scenes pictures.
Chris,
year after you are sitting on behind the scenes a year after the fact.
Chris Pratt, there was a whole thing of like all the stunt doubles and like costume. He's like, and Chris Evans comes up. He's like, "You're recording this?" He's like, "Oh, you can get in trouble, dude." And it's like yeah. So he sat on it. He sat on it for like a year and a half. It's like how. 2 years worth. How did you not leak that by accident?
But it's like that's one of those things where like I tell people, like, we joke about people always having their hand on their phone or their computer.
Yeah.
Like, you have that buried somewhere so deep that nobody, because if that shows up, Marvel's in your ass. But at this point, it's the biggest movie in the world, and it's more like just fanfare. Yeah. All of us are like.
Can I just say, shout outs to that, I think it was Mark Ruffalo when Thor Ragnarok was coming out and he streamed the first 10 minutes on fucking Instagram.
And got in so much trouble. It was funny.
Dude, between him, it was funny because there were interviews.
Mark Ruffalo and Tom Holland are like the
dude, they're in interviews with each other, and the interviews are like hounding him, like, we can get some shit from them. Between them, they're not going to stop each other. I love the fact that Benedict Cumberbatch consistently has to like tell Tom Holland to shut the fuck up. No, Tom Holland starts speaking, he's like, and he's like, "I'm gonna answer that."
Every time Tom Holland has to go to an interview, they always gotta bring Benedict.
They bring one person with him to tell him to shut the fuck up.
Oh, 100%. Because he keeps what I love about that is it goes back to the thing is like the rest of them are grown ass actors that are 100% more media trained than he is.
Yeah,
he's just an excited ass kid. Like, yeah, I got to talk to
our age. He's still only like 23. Like, so it's like.
And so like you see like this like.
Shut up! You don't know how to answer that question.
The movie was cool.
Dude, no, I remember. What was it? Tom Holland was like doing an Instagram live thing, and Mark Ruffalo sent him a package, and he was opening up the package like, "Oh look, talking about Mark Ruffalo," and it's like, "Oh, it's the poster for the new Avengers movie," and on the box it says, "Don't show anyone confidential."
I think that was fake. I don't know, but I believe it though. I still believe it. There was one with I think Jimmy Fallon or whatever. He was with Mantis, Tony Stark, and I think Gamora. Mm-hmm. And he's like, when I was reciting practicing for because Homecoming already came out. He's like, when I was practicing for Spider-Man 1, and he's like, fuck, not that there's any more than one Spider-Man movie. And then it's like, fuck, goddamn, because they haven't announced Far From Home yet, and it's like people are like, God damn it, dude!
It's
like
so
we can't
good.
tell you,
No,
we
no, no,
can't
no,
tell
no,
you
no.
anything, dog.
He was in an interview. I think it was like in a Europe, someplace in Europe, and these guys were like, fucking talking about the character of Spider-Man. He's like, yeah, so it's like this is Spider-Man, and Spider-Man 1 is like, when we get to Spider-Man 2 and 3, and then both of the interviewers are
They were
like,
like, that's interesting. They're like, oh yeah, Spider-Man 3, because they like kind of flow with it. He's like, yeah, and they're like, that's interesting because Spider-Man 3 wasn't even announced to be even in production, and he's like,
I mean, you just gotta roll with that one, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that fucked up on
but
that one.
yeah, like if you are a fan of,
Go watch all those interviews. I did it. I just
if
forced
you are a
myself
fan
on
of
all the spoilers
MCU,
that Tom Holland did. There's
those are
so
funny. Those
much
are
he
hilarious.
spoils. So much he spoils.
if you're a fan though, go watch this movie. It's really
Please.
good. I said we talk about Phase 4. Let's finish up with Phase 3. So the last, there is no after credit scene in this movie.
nope.
It's a callback to a sound.
Yep. And everyone knew it immediately because it's so iconic. You don't think about it, but it really is. Anyone who's an Avengers Marvel fan knows that sound, and it is the sound of him building his mask for the Iron Man suit Mark 1 in the fucking the goddamn terrace. He built that from a box of scraps.
And
just.
But in July we'll get Spider-Man: Far From Home. Villain will be Mysterio.
Mysterio.
As far as we know, and it seems like we got the Hydro Man and like.
Well, okay, so
is that Hydro Man?
Those are Mysterio.
It's the Elementalists.
It's
the Elementalists. The Elementalists are a part of the film.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Also, I want to say the end credits for Endgame is top tier because you had, obviously everyone got as big of a billing as they could. But the original Avengers got their signature, their character's name, and then their actual name, and then like a toy CG version of them, and it's like, of course, the last one was motherfucking Robert Downey Jr., and it's like,
Speaking of, he got paid. Apparently, like the rumors right now are like 75 mil, which is still like 50 mil more than anybody else.
No shit though.
But if this is his last film,
one, if it's your last one, you gotta go on the bang, bro. Yep. Of course, you'll get royalty rights for his characters.
So
sound,
the stuff that has been confirmed so far, there's a lot of rumors, and I believe it has been confirmed for a Black Widow movie.
That's confirmed. Yeah,
they've confirmed the Eternals.
Yes.
Yep.
They have confirmed
Black
Panther 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3,
Guardians of the Galaxy 3,
which
Guardians of the Galaxies.
James Gunn, yes, that's where Beta Ray Bill's going.
Dude, I didn't even think about that name till he fucking said it as Guardians of the Galaxy back. I'm like, bro, that's so smart. I didn't even
check out that comic run, Jazz. It's really good.
Dude, I completely forgot about it till he said it. I didn't even put that in my head.
It's so good. And
we're not getting that movie for a while
but Gunn said that after he finishes the new Suicide Squad,
which is 2020,
they will start filming.
They gave him infinite amounts of money to bring.
I think everyone knows. Okay. I cannot wait to see Chris Hemsworth and
Pratt.
Yeah, the two of them go back and forth.
Two Chris's, yeah.
The two of them in that last scene was like, we both know who's in charge.
Yes,
it was so perfect.
Okay, you said I was in charge, but you keep moving it.
But
you literally got the two comedy characters.
Dude, then Drax comes in and is like, I think you should
Can
fight.
I just say appreciate the fact that I know Nebula's already part of the group, but the fact that she was like in with the joke too, she's like, yes, I like that. That seems fair. And it's like I love the fact that even though her delivery is like super cold, like she's super open to them now, and it's like, she's like, oh yeah, and Mantis like, yes, nice. and
everybody else is
I
like,
got blasters in
not
the back.
like, no, I love the fact though, like Thor's kind of like, even Thor's like, yo, I will fucking murder you. Let me not.
No, you know what? The way I appreciate that so much is because Chris Pratt treats Thor like how we would treat our dads, in terms of like, I could probably take him, but it's like, can I though? Like he's got the belly, but can I really take him though? For real? Yeah. He's still got like dad bod. You know what I mean? Like fuck me, dude.
But we have Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Doctor Strange 2.
Yep.
Yes.
We have Spider-Man 3.
Far From Home.
Of course.
3. Yeah, 3. And Far From Home, because Far From Home is phase 4, but phase 3. And of course, everyone knows the acquisition, which Kevin Feige was very transparent, like, because they don't want the false hope. They're like, look, you're not gonna get anything before, I think he said 2020.
Yeah.
Which is next year, so it's not that far away. But he's like, that's when we'll start. They probably already planned it, but legally speaking, they couldn't use the characters just yet until they like.
So
everything...
so they got Fantastic Four a little bit early.
Yes.
But they have confirmed. He has said it is minimum 5 years.
Yes.
Before we would see X-Men in the MCU.
Because you got to remember they did plan all the
that.
Stuff
the next 5 years are planned already.
Yes.
100% the next 5 years are planned.
Yes.
And for something like this, you have to plan that.
Yeah, and they have a bunch of TV shows that are out there.
Yep.
They have a bunch of.
I might have to watch those TV shows now.
Yeah, there's a bunch of TV shows like beyond Loki. The Disney Plus lineup has a bunch of shows.
There's a lot of stuff they're doing with Marvel, which is. No, they couldn't do East, right?
Like
it was
I think
literally a legal and like kind of thing, because it's kind of terrible if they showed any type of X-Men cameo and they couldn't deliver on it for like the next 6 years. That's
like,
kind of
yeah,
rough.
The difference with the two conversations, like Sony is very much. Marvel has I believe, movie rights, but they don't have any other rights. Or they have the
no.
Sony has movie.
Sony has the movie rights, but Marvel has all the like
toy rights,
merchandise, everything else.
It's one way. It's one of those two ways, and that's why, because like Sony lets them use Spider-Man,
which is smart because they make more money anyway.
Yeah.
So.
And so what ends up happening there
At least that's what I believe anyway.
Is like we have a bunch of stuff there. There's gonna be a third, and people don't necessarily want to believe this, but the way MCU has worked is everybody gets 3 films.
Yes.
Yep.
So there's probably going to be another Ant-Man and Wasp movie,
which has been.
We still need a third one.
I think
which has been a winning formula.
I'm trying to think.
Also,
what else.
Also, if people are curious, if they didn't know, the reason why Hulk had to have an arc over like the Avengers films, which they worked out with Mark Ruffalo, is because even though Marvel owns the character Hulk, in terms of distribution, Universal owns the character. That's why Hulk cannot get a solo film because they still own the rights.
I also make the point that Hulk is a hard solo character.
Yeah. Yes, I'm glad. I prefer him being with other people because I think Hulk by himself wouldn't have been that amazing.
It's not going to be a good movie.
Him being the whole like Ragnarok and then him having this whole arc has been amazing. So, and yes, I can't wait for the X-Men and of course the Fantastic Four and all that stuff. I can't wait for Strix Future Foundation, if you know what I'm talking about, with Peter Parker getting like an internship or something.
Yep.
After Tony left, and he's like, I can imagine Pepper's like, you know what, you ended your internship as far as your aunt's concerned, right? But it's like Tony's dead, and it's like they could keep up the lie, but it's like there's another internship that you and your friends could go for, which is the Future Foundation with the Fantastic Four, I believe. I think it's the Future Foundation, and so like
there's Agents of Shield. The season 6 trailer came out. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff where we're now actually in
post.
Yeah, there's been rumors and some stuff that have popped up about another Venom movie. They're working on
made a lot of money, yeah.
They're working on a Morbius movie.
I can't believe Mobius is gonna get whatever his name is. That's this weird vampire thing. Like really? But you know what? People said the same thing when Guardians came out. So I don't know. But
okay, so question: Who's gonna be the big bad guy of the new saga?
It's one of the few reasons why I want Fantastic Four to show up. I
know why.
I think
Galactus?
like no fuck.
No,
This is me being very frank. Like when somebody were to sit down with me and be like, yo, if you had like Thanos, who would you follow? Like who do you think can compete with Thanos? And the only person I say is Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom.
Okay. Yep.
In and of him self. I think now with that said, now I want to say
not like in terms of like the writing. Yeah.
I feel like Captain Marvel is where you will play up the actual cosmic entities.
Strix knows this, right? Even though Galactus is a huge threat in the universe, and don't get me wrong, he is. But whenever a comic run, it seems like from my experience, like whenever I read stuff, it seems like the first threat they always fight against that's like kind of serious is Galactus, and later on it kind of just becomes like.
Yeah,
not washed away, but he's like the big Babu's first giant.
But
space fight.
That's what I'm saying. Captain Marvel.
I love Galactus, but yeah.
I think if you make Captain Marvel look like you can take Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, yeah, you can start talking about cosmic shit, right? That's where we start to get there. Now, we already talked about on Earth. They had references to Namor. And Captain.
Can they just run back Apocalypse, please? I know
Okay,
they don't want to be
so
associated with that X-Men movie, but
we
Apocalypse
haven't.
is actually OP as shit.
I'm actually like I think that'll be something that we will get.
Please, let's run back Apocalypse
We'll
because
get
that movie was
once we get
garbage.
X-Men. I really hope Dark Phoenix is done well though. That's the whole separate.
Ugh.
I'm not excited. I'm not.
Are y'all gonna
watching
watch that movie?
Nope, I'm
Yes.
not. I don't care about that movie whatsoever.
I already mentioned that they were going to include Living Tribunal in Infinity War and decided not to.
I can't wait to see how
So-
they look like.
So they are not shying away from cosmic entities. It's just they want to do it.
Can't wait for
Correct.
eternity and death and like, I mean, there's like crazy stuff that they could do. I can't wait. I mean, because how small the X-Men movies are in terms of scope, they weren't able to fully show the Phoenix Force. I want to see the Universal Phoenix Force shit. I love that shit in the comics. It's like that shit is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
It's dumb. That thing is strong as hell for no reason. You know, it's like the embodiment of like all life in every, because there's only one Phoenix Force.
Yeah.
Just like how there's only one. It's a multi-universal essence. Like in every different, I think, in every timeline or every universe, there's a different Mistress Death or Eternity or whatever for that universe specifically. But like the Phoenix is specifically is like there's only one in all of creation or whatever, as far as I know. I could be completely wrong on that, but too bad. Yeah.
I think it'll take a little bit of we'll have a little bit of time where people are already like sitting here looking at like, well, what's the next big thing? What's the next big
Clues
thing?
and stuff like that. Yeah.
If I'm being honest, I don't think we see it for. I think they do it just like they did Phase 1. This is a new generation of movies. You have smaller villains, you have smaller things, and you might allude to bigger pieces in the universe.
It just sucks. It just sucks because Marvel MCU movies just kills off every villain after like the first try. But I would love it because since we're getting more cosmic stuff, I want them to bring back Dormammu.
I would
because-
also, yes, Dormammu, Doctor Strange, yes, but ignoring even. People have to recognize in the timeline that currently exists, the Infinity Stones still all exist.
Yes, they do.
Yep.
There's nothing to stop them from bringing Thanos back if there was a legitimate reason to. That's me
Yes.
saying if there's a legitimate reason. Because,
Legitimate threat.
like, as a comic fan, Thanos has died before. Thanos has been removed from reality before. Like, there's
Bro.
plenty of things where Thanos.
Strix, what? Okay, so if people don't know, Thanos in one of the newer ones cannot die because if he were to die, he could meet with Mistress Death. So he wasn't able to die, and when the universe ended, he still existed, and when a new universe was created, he still came back from like the in between shit. If they really wanted to, they could pull that off and be like, yo, Mistress Death, literally all he has to say is Death rejected me, and comic book fans would just fucking nut.
Yeah,
Like,
I think
when he comes back.
I think that is a very real possibility. Kamala Khan would be dope.
I love Kamala Khan. That'd be great.
There's like, I feel like we're at a point where, unlike what they had to do with Iron Man, we've already taken the Guardians of the Galaxy risk and it paid off.
Mhm.
Once
Marvel
again,
has the leisure to just like, people will watch it because it's Marvel, right? Like,
Yeah.
I
I
can
just
take a
really want to
risk.
see Fantastic Four, man.
We will.
I want to see that work.
For me, it sucks again because I do want Doctor Doom to be like the next big threat just so they keep him around more. But it's like if they're gonna bring in tiny villains for like each individual movie again, I want to keep some of them around because I think them being good or them being around to like that little, just having that little inkling in the back of your mind, like, are they gonna betray us at this moment? Are they gonna do this to actually be good for the sake of the Earth when we work together or whatever? Like Magneto. Like if they ever bring Magneto, I don't want them to kill him off. You know what I mean? Like I want it to be like you never know type of thing because Magneto's always worked with and against the X-Men, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like Loki was the only one that got to be kept around because Loki was so popular. But it's not uncommon for villains to work with superheroes, so I want that type of relationship, personally.
I think it's about it's all about the villains we do bring in. So it all depends. I think that post credit scene for Spider-Man, I think that's gonna say a lot about what's about to
Strix,
come up.
I'm not gonna lie. Even though it's really dumb, if people want really badass Hulk back, we could get Onslaught. I'm just saying, if they want Hulk where he's like dummy crazy strong, because we're probably not gonna get World War Hulk because we already got that kind of storyline, kinda.
No, I think we'll get World War Hulk. I think there's going to be a time where like
I do want World War
Hulk is going to have his moment, and the only way they do that though is they're really going to have to.
I want it just for Scar, and I want Hulk to get his like spin-off alternate thing where he gets to meet like Maestro and all that shit, man. Like evil Maestro. Dude, I would love Maestro. That'd be amazing as a villain reveal. It's Hulk, but he's old and it's the fucking Maestro Hulk.
Yeah. It's
from a different. Oh, there's so many possibilities.
We're in a world now where I can now. They said Monday, so I'll give it 2 more days.
Yep.
I will freely be talking. I will freely start talking about what all is happening.
Yeah.
Because at this point now we are playing the game of what can we see.
Yeah.
I just want actual Sentinels as well.
There's a lot of shit. That I think it'd be cool if they do. They literally have decades upon decades of content that they can just use up. Imagine if they bring out Moon Knight.
Yeah, like there's rumors of a Moon Knight movie. There's a lot of things that
Taskmaster, all those guys, yeah.
There's a lot of movies that possibly exist.
Yes.
Remember, we still have the Nova Corps. We still have Corps.
Dude, I was completely waiting. I'm not gonna lie. There was a part of me when they said high orbit thing that it was gonna be Nova. Even though I knew it was Captain Marvel, like I was surprised that
she didn't bring with her like.
Although, actually, to be fair, never mind. We couldn't because off-screen Thor obliterated that planet.
I don't think that means that. Like, I don't think.
No. But I mean, I don't think they're gone. I just mean that it makes sense, and as a result, like a Spartan type program thing to fight Thanos level threats. Yeah. Like we're gonna make the Nova Corps. You know what I mean? Like the
Shang-Chi has also been confirmed. I forgot about.
Oh yeah.
Shang-Chi being confirmed.
That's crazy.
WandaVision. So Wanda and Vision have a TV show in the past. I'm assuming. I think Falcon and Winter Soldier have a Disney Plus show.
Like
Loki does.
Cop. Yeah.
Hawkeye has one. So there are a lot of places they can go because we're now in a world where they just have to build off of this, and it's really easy at this point.
Yeah. Warlock does exist,
Adam Warlock is because he showed up at the end of Guardians 2.
He does show up in the movie. He does exist.
The Cocoon showed up at the end of 2, and they referenced like the perfect
man, that's Adam.
Perfect being. And I think they use the name Adam.
They call him Adam.
So we know that he's there. I think it's just they didn't feel like doing it. Now, with that said, yeah, like Cardiac nailed it on the head. We need gore. If we're going Thor route and really getting people in there, give me the God Butcher.
Give me Beta Ray Bill. It's gonna be weird because he's supposed to have Stormbringer. That's Beta Ray Bill's hammer, but they call Stormbringer even though it's Yarnbjorn. Like that's.
But you could have just a different weapon.
Yeah, they could give him. It doesn't matter. I want a horseman. Okay.
Man. We have been going for almost 5 hours. Well, the stream has been live for almost 5 hours. We've been going for like 4.5.
Nope.
So I'm gonna hit Alejandro up to do his little outro. Because I know you probably got to get to sleep and got shit to do.
Yeah, I'm tired. But you already know. It's your boy, Snapback and Pencil without the snapback. I do that shit. I'm starting to stream some SMT Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne on my channel, on my Twitch, so be sure to check that out. I still draw. I've been doing a few drawings recently, but yeah, it's
I joked with Alejandro, by the way, before we started. I was like, this is going to be 6 hours. He's like, this is not going to be 6 hours. I'm like, you really underestimate how much this movie we could.
Okay.
This is us being. We could do an hour per part.
So I said this is going to be our longest episode. I was expecting 3-4 hours.
But so I'm gonna be very honest with you. That's why because we had a conversation before the stream started, chat, where I was like, oh, we're talking about more than just Endgame.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, we're definitely gonna have like a super long episode.
Yeah, we really did. We had to look. I had to. I mean, I know Alejandro had to do stuff anyway, but Strix and I had to wait a whole last week. It's not saying shit, and I had to like let it out finally.
Hey, but at least you're not the people who actually worked on the movie who had to wait years.
on a side note, by the way.
Oh God, I couldn't do it.
Did you
Rest in peace to new actor.
Shaz, go ahead, do your outro, and then I'll talk about it. Let me also shit.
It's your boy Young Leech. I will never stream again. You'll never see me again. So follow me on Twitter. Actually, no, that's not I'm joking. I'm gonna probably stream tomorrow. Gotta stream some games. My friend, I don't know, bought for me, so I wanted to, I wanted to show it off a little bit. Also, I definitely was supposed to play something with my friends tonight, and I forgot it was gonna be this long. I was like, it'll be over soon. And I'm like, oh yeah, we gotta talk about Avengers. Damn it, I feel so bad. I forgot. But it's fine. I'll make it up to them. So, anyway, yeah, thanks for coming by and watching us nerdgasm. And I say that unironically this time because we really did. Like, I know people say that, but we kind of did. I'm not gonna lie.
We literally did.
We kind of did. So, thanks for popping by. Strix, I guess?
You're on my channel, so I don't need to do a whole bunch. Stick around after the show. I'll do a quick little town hall. Every month I talk about whatever's happening. But ignoring that, I'll use my little bit to share a little story about a guy who posted he was going to see Infinity War, and a guy spoiled it in his Instagram comments. So he befriended the guy for the next year, found out the guy wasn't going to see it, went to see it opening night, took pictures, and then tweeted him like 60 pictures worth of spoilers.
Oh,
and the guy was like, you're a horrible person. He's like, no, you fucking spoiled me, and I got you fucking back. You got what you deserve. Look up the article. The dude is a savage.
Dog.
That's the best.
Like, he was like, yeah, I got his trust. I made him think we were friends. And I was like, dog, okay, like, that's a little bit malicious. Like, you went a little bit far.
Okay, but also, the guy, who, was it on the same account he befriended him in?
I have no clue.
Because the guy should, look, if I, unless it was a guy that didn't think about it, but if I spoiled the guy named Yoru Strix on Infinity War, and he befriended me later on.
He initially hit the guy up and said, like, hey, he had already seen the movie, and that was a funny troll. Like, he played it off like, oh, ha, 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 ha.
Never mind. He got him with the option select. Oh,
I was like, my eyes hurt. I was like, yo. So, chat, all I'm saying to you is, like, find your designated spoiler zones. Don't be throwing them in random comment section to random people.
Yeah.
You be setting yourself up for some mad nastiness.
Can I just say, because we're gonna get so many new movies, and speaking of spoilers, I'm literally watching a spoiler right now on Twitter. Awesome, epic. But
no, I went hard on spoilers.
No, me too.
I went hard because I felt so relieved. But I see it too. God damn it. God damn it. I gotta watch the movie already.
Yeah, but I really feel bad for all the new actors that are gonna be coming on into the MCU because you know damn well Marvel's gonna be on their fucking ass.
I mean, I don't. At the same time, I get the passing of the torch. It's kind of like no one can ever play Iron Man, no one can play Wolverine because we associate so much. Obviously, that'll happen eventually. Whether I'm sure Marvel will be smart enough to not have Iron Man, but maybe like the daughter or Pepper. Same thing with
Wolverine. A lot of people are thinking Iron Man is gonna be the kid from.
Yes, and also we don't have to have Wolverine. We can have X-23 because she's been getting a lot of push in the comics as well. They can avoid all of that. I get where Alejandro's coming from, but if they truly want to make this their own thing, it sucks because it's in the universe, so they have to acknowledge what happened. But if they want to make it their own thing, they have to kind of, just do it type of thing. They got to just do what they do best, which is work with the people they got. Marvel is like A tier or S tier when it comes to casting. They do great with stories that have nothing to do with what the names imply. Yeah. Like Civil War is not the same, like with the characters and stuff like that.
Like, and it's
nowhere near
very thinly veiled. Like the plot thread is very, like you can be like, oh yeah, it's the similar plot about this.
The core story echoes what it's based on, but the actual how it happens is like completely
same with Infinity MCU in terms of its writing. It's its own.
Infinity War is
same thing.
Nothing like the comics at all.
But they still have those moments that they call back to the comics.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes them strong. So I'm super excited to see. We talk about it like I think a lot of people will drop off, which makes sense. I think they were willing. I think Marvel did this knowing people would, and they have to kind of like re-earn their trust. Like, okay, I can be kind of invested in this new, not new universe, but this ongoing universe.
It's like we just finished Dragon Ball Z, and they're about to start Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
It's like,
that. So, I mean, for me, I know most of us will probably watch it anyway because we love comic books.
Of course,
we'll do it anyway. But I'm really excited to see how they do this. So,
I think everybody's a little bit done. So I'm gonna let you know.
Yeah. I'm getting McDonald's soon, so
it's been 5 hours, 5 minutes. I'm gonna let y'all go. Chat, let me use the bathroom and then I will be back. I'll be back on to talk about my shit. So yeah, thank you for coming through to the SSJ. We'll be back not this week, coming up. Again, send your love and support over to Alejandro. He is graduating from school this week.
He's graduating
from college.
He's so old.
So yeah, go show him some love. Hit him up on Twitter. Send him your love. And we will be back in 2 weeks to talk about whatever news has happened. I'll put on some music, and then we will keep it moving from there. All right. Bye.